Here we go. Welcome back to Pipe Dreams Podcast, episode 17. We're here at MotoAmerica, back in the rig. We got some new gear. Everything seems pretty good. But first, before we even get into housekeeping or anything, I got you something.
You got me something?
I got you something. So we can be truckers together.
Is it a Hog Spoley hat?
Yeah, I got to tell a story with it. So you got to pick.
Send me the picture.
I know, you got to pick one. Which one do you want?
I'm a blue-orange guy, dude. This matches
That's
the
what
bike,
I figured.
dude.
I figured. So I think we need to rock the full trucker hats for the whole
pod?
Yeah.
All right.
Fuck yeah, dude. It looks good.
All right, so quick story before we get into everything. So I went to Amsterdam to see my girlfriend, and we were walking through this place called Harlem, and I walked by and I saw these hats, and I was like, I wonder if that's the Stetson. Like, you know what I mean? Like Stetson hats. So I walk into this place, and they had cowboy hats, everything, and then I found these hats, and I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm coming here and seeing a Stetson hat like this and not buying one. And then I saw the garage, that hat that reminds me of, like, that is full Corey. You had that Ford garage one, and I was like, I got to get him this one. So I bought two when I was there, and then I told him, and this one's the
that's pretty
motocross
sick.
one. Yeah. So, and then I was like, I forgot to bring it the last two, and I was like, you know what? I got to bring it on the pod.
We
so.
just saw your trucker hat, so we
Hey,
pull these ones out.
So, anyways, back to it. We're here at Road America. We've got an amazing guest coming up. But first off,
We're at Brainerd.
yeah. Oh yeah, we're at Brainerd, and
Jimmy hit his head
sure?
at Road
Yeah,
America,
you
so
sure?
he's not here yet.
Earth to myself. But as always, thank you for everybody that listens and supports the pod. Thank you for everybody that's buying the t-shirts. I just talked with our brand director, Corey Alexander. We're going to be having mugs coming out soon. I got a new shirt that just launched, Born to Ride. It's sick. And as always, thank you to Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers. If you or somebody's in an accident, please call Law Tigers. There's no fees to the rider, and you ride better with Law Tigers. 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They've supported us since the beginning, and we love having them on board.
For sure. Well, let's get into it, Jimmy. Our guest here today comes all the way from South Africa, but I don't know if that's actually where you
Yes,
originally
bro.
came from, but that's what we call you. You're South African. Cameron Petersen, factory rider for Attack Performance Yamaha this year. Is it Progressive? Attack Progressive Yamaha? It changes names every year.
I know every year.
You're on the
different.
factory blue bike.
You're on the baby blue. Welcome to the podcast.
No, right on, boys. Thanks for having me.
No,
It's been
worries.
a long time coming.
Dude,
Yeah.
It's been for real. I know we've reached out a few times trying to get you on, but it's just schedules and everything. It's always hard to kind of make things happen, and we've kind of got our shit together a little bit more and have been able to knock out a few more of these. But you've been high on the list.
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
you've got some accolades, you've had some troubles, you've had kind of a lot of craziness in your life to get to where you're at right now, and
We got that big W last weekend, so we said let's give him a call.
Oh, yeah. Hey, when you win, stuff happens.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's great to have you on. I guess biggest thing we want to kind of dive right into right away is like, how'd you get here? Because we were like Googling away last night, ChatGPT, the whole deal, trying to do some homework, and we're like, this guy's like the mystery man.
Dude,
Like, is he
it's-
from
I
Zimbabwe? Is he
know.
from South Africa?
Yeah, honestly, kind of a crazy story. My dad, he raced in the World Championship. He had 3 brothers. They all raced all around the world. I was actually born in Spain. My sister was born here in America, like when he was just doing the traveling thing. And then, my dad broke his back in a training incident in Spain, running Kenny Roberts. They had a flat track school out there. So after he broke his back, he was like, man, I just want to go back home, because he was born in Zimbabwe. So I took the family back to Zimbabwe, which is crazy. You know, we were going to race motorcycles our whole life, and took me away from Spain back to Zimbabwe. So,
What is Zimbabwe
Yeah,
like? Because you just imagine like the History Channel type stuff when you when you think Zimbabwe.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You know, it's a third world country, so I mean, you could picture what a third world country is like. But dude, honestly, like our childhood was sick. We got to do so many cool stuff, like just go camping and fishing, and just there was no outside noise in Zimbabwe. It was super simple life. So growing up, we had a sweet lifestyle, and But, you know, obviously racing motorcycles, South Africa was kind of the place to go to because Zimbabwe didn't have much of a racing scene. So, yeah, my dad took me to South Africa and started racing dirt bikes. You know, grew up racing dirt bikes. That's all I ever wanted to do. And ended up breaking both my femurs in a motocross crash, and I was in a wheelchair for like 4 months. And
Holy
How old was that?
I was 13, I think.
Do you think that stunted the growth at all, or what?
Have you seen the size of me, dude? So yeah, I mean, that was the first time.
Guys like, dude.
Could have been like 6'7" if you didn't break both
Hey,
your
they
femurs.
said I broke the growth plate, so probably. dude.
Probably. Maybe a good thing then.
Yeah, we need it. So yeah, I mean, like all I ever wanted to do was race dirt bikes, and then after that accident, I hit my head a whole bunch as well. And my mom finally stepped in and she was like, "Hey, dude, you need to go find something else to do." So I was like, "All right, well, let's go race street bikes."
Oh, shit. Geographically, because I'm trying to imagine it, and I obviously didn't pay much attention, but where is Zimbabwe in relation to
Zimbabwe is
South
just north of South Africa. It's like it borders South Africa. So
Africa? Like actually touches like
Yeah.
land-wise?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah,
don't know
so-
why I think of like imagine it as like a more African,
no,
continent.
yeah, it's. I mean,
like
I've
it's all
been to some Central Africa countries, and it's way gnarly out there. So yeah, just you know, after that accident, my mom stepped in and was like, "Hey, you need to find something else to do." I went, and my first ever time on a road race bike was Brad Binder's Derby 50cc, like biggest piece of shit ever.
No way.
And nobody told me where to shift, so I was short shifting the thing, and like I remember leaving the track that first day. Yeah.
Is
That
that
was
like an
blowing by me.
NSR kind of deal? That's what that looks like?
Yeah.
I don't know what
Well,
Derby
it's a
is.
little bit
Yeah.
bigger than an NSR, but I mean slower than an NSR, I think. So yeah, I had guys blowing by me, and I was scared. Like I was so scared with these guys coming past, and I left.
the other guys?
yeah. What is that? So yeah, and then I left the track that day, and I was like, "Dad, I'm never riding one of those things ever again in my life." And
This is like a go-kart track, I imagine, or something.
no, it was this track called Midvale, out in the middle of nowhere. Literally had potholes on the track. I mean, like the sketchiest thing ever. So yeah, and then you know, my dad picked me up from school one day, and he had a CBR 150 in the back. He's like, "Hey, let's just go give it another try." So went, did one more day on the bike, and then went to my first race with Brad Binder, Matty, like all the guys were out there, and I ended up finishing 5th. So like that was kind of the spark of, hey, maybe we can go road racing. And then from then on, it was just purely head down, let's go racing. And then won a championship in 2013. A Super Sport Championship, and then ever since I won that South African Championship, it was kind of what do we need to do to get overseas?
Now, going backwards a little bit, but your dad, did he have that kind of like plan? Obviously, he had a road racing background more than dirt bikes. So, was like, do you think in the back of his head he was always like,
Yeah, I
where he
think
wanted
so.
to
I
go?
mean, I could tell because you know it wasn't long afterwards when we left the track. I was like, I'm never riding one of those things again. It was like a few days afterwards he came and picked me up from school with a CBR 150. So he was kind of like pushing me to get on the street bike. And honestly, I mean, he hasn't said it, but I think we knew from a pretty young age that motocross wasn't going to quite cut it. You know, it's the difference in road racing back in South Africa to America. It's kind of close. There's a lot of fast guys, but the difference in motocross from there to here is a big jump. So, yeah, I think that had something to do with pushing me getting on a street bike. But yeah, here we are, dude.
So let's keep scooting back a little bit. So you're born in Spain.
Yeah, born in
Okay.
Spain.
Did you learn Spanish at all?
No, we were only there for like the first year and a half of my life.
Okay.
And then back to Zimbabwe. But my sister, funny, like we've got all the home videos from back in the day, and full on Spanish accent, could barely speak English, like full on fluent.
That's crazy.
how much older is your sister?
She's almost 4 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay.
So-
And then you came back to Zimbabwe. What is like? Is that so? You sound South African, but what could South Africans tell you have a Zimbabwe like
I think
accent?
I
or
think
no?
when I first got there, the accent is a little bit different. Like Zimbabwe, it's definitely got a little bit more African in it for
They
sure.
have their own language too,
Like,
though. No?
isn't it do you
Yeah, they
speak
got Shona.
Oh.
In Zimbabwe, they got Shona, which is their African language, and then South Africa's got like
Afrikaans, right?
yeah, Afrikaans, Zulu. I mean, they've got like 9 official. I think there's 9 languages in our national anthem. So,
So did you learn any? What did you say, Shulu?
Shona, no,
Shona.
I mean, I don't remember anything like. And even when I went to South Africa, obviously we had to take Afrikaans as a subject, and dude, it was like I'm pretty sure they bumped my grades up just to get me out of there because it was a struggle. It was a
That's
struggle.
so interesting.
It is wild.
So you were born with a Spanish passport then, no?
No, so I've actually got a Zimbabwean passport. That's why I'm actually Zimbabwean. I'm not
Okay.
South African. Actually, I've lived in America longer than I've lived anywhere else in the world. So I kind of consider myself an American now.
Crazy.
So yeah, I mean, kind of lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
How are you born in
Oh.
Spain but not?
Yeah, so Spain do it by bloodline, not by birthright.
Ah,
So yeah, my somewhere in my family, my parents would have had to been from Spain for me to get that Spanish passport.
that's really interesting. Is that like a whole? Because back then it was a whole like all the European countries was like that.
I mean, honestly, I don't know.
Dude,
I'm not
you
that
don't
clever.
look at me.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to have that Spanish passport.
Yeah.
And me and my dad, we
Imagine Cam's South African accent, Spanish passport, racing in
Hey.
America.
Oh, dude, the immigration, the
Yes, it's
immigration, the immigration lawyers love me, dude.
I bet. I bet. Would have been
Spanish
good for the
guys,
MotoGP
Zimbabwe.
resume though.
There's no,
Yeah.
you have to get stopped because they probably are like, it just don't add up.
Dude, it was funny. Like, so obviously going through all the paperwork now with my wife, trying to get green cards here and just waiting for the passport to come. But yeah, my Zimbabwean passport that I had forever, it's like super hard to get a new passport from Zimbabwe. It takes a long time. So I was traveling around America with my passport to get on. And the photo of my passport was me like 3 years old. And I'm 21, 22 walking around and everybody's looking like,
Doesn't
is
look like
this
you.
right? Yeah.
Is there no expiration date or what?
No, I mean, the expiration date was fine because we did renew it once,
But
but they
they-
just used the same photo.
That's so funny. Yeah, it looks good.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
So, wow, that's insane. It's I don't know. I'm just kind of blown away with that whole.
Yeah,
kinda sorta-
I mean, my dad had a interesting life, that's for sure. You know, traveling around the world and getting to work with Kenny and starting a flat track school in Spain. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, he lived a good life.
How did that happen? I guess 'Cause you said your dad's from Zimbabwe originally.
Yeah. So my dad from Zimbabwe, then kind of same thing. Like racing back in the day in South Africa, street bike racing was massive. I mean, they had all the guys go to South Africa to do some of the nationals. World Championship guys go there. So I think that was kind of the end for my dad to get overseas and go race street bikes over there. And I don't know how it happened. I know he came here for a few years, raced 250s. And then, yeah, Kenny put him on the 500 two-stroke when that whole era was going down. And he did a few years, him and Rich Oliver were teammates. And, yeah, Kenny had this idea to go start a flat track school in Spain and asked my dad if he kind of wanted to go run the thing and make everything happen.
Did your dad do much flat track before then?
Yeah, he did. I mean, but like so different. The flat track we did growing up was so different to the stuff here. But yeah, he grew up doing some stuff and it was all on knobbies. So we didn't have like the
I remember
proper stuff.
Maxwell, he did some races on a full blown like motorbike on a cushion half mile.
Yeah.
And it's like sketchy.
That's
dude.
all we had was
It's crazy.
fucking motor wheels and that was it.
Dude, it's like gnarly what they like because Miller does that race every year and they're all on knobbies with like a trials tire on the back and they're just like they just hang it out.
It makes sense why you guys are all so loose.
Yeah. So
Now, like, why do you think that? Because you wouldn't think South Africa based on just kind of like, you think America, right? America road racing isn't really that big. Maybe it was back then, but why do you think South Africa, for whatever reason, is more popular or a hot spot, I guess, for it?
honestly, I think it started from my dad's era with just all those world champions going and racing there. So, like, the motorcycle road racing scene was picked up to a high level from a very early time. And I think that just kind of kept going through from generation to generation. And you know, even me growing up, we had so many guys go to World Supersport, World Superbike, and actually compete and do well, and they would come back and race the nationals in South Africa. So I think that just kind of kept the level high. But it's crazy how many South Africans are road racing around the world. It's crazy.
It actually is insane when you kind of look at it proportionally. Like, there's a lot of fast South Africans that have made it to GP or have made it, you know, around the world into some serious, like, you know, it's kind of insane. Even like I don't even before that, but I remember Clint Seller was here. I mean, Marias. I mean, there's like sprinkled all over the place when you think about. Obviously, it's like a big country, but at the same time, it's like it's not.
No, it's a third world country.
You know what I mean?
It takes 15 hours to drive from one side to the other, so it's really not that big. But yeah, for whatever reason, road racing kind of took off there and produced a lot of fast guys. I mean, even now there's Stephen Odendahl in World Championship, World Endurance Championship, and he's crushing it. Races superbikes in Spain, crushes it. So. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I also think, do you think, because like the Australians kind of do the same thing where they like kind of all back each other. And I feel like that's the same sort of thing with South Africans. Like you kind of all like, I don't know if the word is, but like you can totally see it in Australians. Like they all back each other wherever they are.
A lot of pride, a lot of like
and
support.
I mean, it's in American, I don't know. I feel like it's a little different vibe. Like
it's definitely different, and I think it's just because it's so big here, dude. There's so much going on. There's so many pieces to the puzzle here in America that it's kind of easy to get lost. Where in South Africa, within the community, like everybody supports each other. Like I remember when we first came to America, we were trying to do some fundraising, and I mean, the amount of people that bought my shirts just because they wanted me to come and race overseas was kind of crazy. So, but for sure, the community in South Africa it's strong.
So how far geographically, like that move, you imagine, in my mind, when I imagine like moving from Zimbabwe, you think like that's like, I don't know, I guess because being American, you kind of grow up in Zimbabwe is like a third world country, like you said. So from there to Spain, how much different, how far away is it, one, but how much different of like a way of life is that?
It was super different. I mean,
I didn't really grow up there.
Yeah, I don't really remember too much
but what
from
you
Spain.
know of it, I guess.
Just a big difference and with everything. You know, Spain is somewhat of a rural country still. You know, there's parts of Spain that really struggle, but just the opportunity. I think that's a big thing. Is the opportunity in Spain compared to Zimbabwe or South Africa was just night and day. And you know, growing up in Zimbabwe, going to South Africa was like coming to America for me. It's like, you know, going to South Africa was like going to a first world country. Everything was shiny and nice and new. And so, yeah, growing up was crazy. That's how different even Zimbabwe to South Africa is.
Really?
It's like, yeah, going to South Africa was like, dude, we've made it, you know?
Was it dangerous as well? Like, were you like having, I imagine that we talked with Richie and like, you know, being in Mexico, there's certain aspects that he's cautious about. You kind of have that as well. Like,
yeah,
same
deal. I mean, there's obviously certain spots and certain things you just don't want to do. But we were fortunate enough that kind of everywhere we lived in a nice gated off community with security guards and all that. So,
but that's how it is. Like,
you have to.
Even in South Africa, right?
Yeah. So, we lived in a house. There was one time right close to a school, we moved into a house that wasn't a gated off community. It had booms, but anybody could kind of get in and out. And my parents, they got tied up and AK-47s to their head, and they took everything, dude. They were there for hours, and like my mom still kind of has PTSD about the whole situation, and they stole everything, dude. Like when I say they took everything, they took everything. And that was kind of the last time we were like, we need to get out of South Africa, because this is, I mean, to be fair, after that, we were still in South Africa for a few years, and I went to bed every night. I was like, okay, tonight's the night. So,
wow.
Yeah, growing up like that was...
You weren't there when that happened, though?
I wasn't there, no. Lucky enough, me and my sister were both out at a friend's birthday party. So that's why we think it might have been an inside job as well, because we had a housekeeper that kind of helped us out, and my dad sold a bunch of race bikes that I think the day before, so he had a bunch of cash in one of his cupboards. So, but yeah, I mean, like scary time. I couldn't even imagine going through something like that.
I couldn't imagine either. That's insane.
Yeah.
And when you say booms, it's just, what is that?
Like the gates that.
It's just
just like, you know, like you lift up the boom and
Okay.
yeah.
Now, because obviously I'm close with Chris Lessing, and he kind of talks about a lot of that stuff coming from South Africa too. But was there not like something with the passport where there was a period of time where South Africans couldn't get to a lot of countries because of their passport?
Yeah, so I think during like the whole apartheid era, where obviously there was a lot of separation in the country, I think
That was before your time, though.
yeah.
Okay.
That it ended in '94. I was born in '94. So I didn't grow up with any of that, but yeah, I think a lot of the rest of the world would just kind of shun South Africa. They're like, you guys deal with your stuff, and then we can look to let you guys into our country.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was why your dad's actually from Zimbabwe. I wasn't sure if he was just living in Zimbabwe to kind of get around that whole deal back then when he was racing or not. I wasn't sure if that was part of it or not.
Yeah. No, Zimbabwe was just home at
That's
the time.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, obviously you said like coming to America, you had a lot of support. How did that really come about? Like, did you guys just, okay, like we're done here. We gotta get out of here. How do you?
And why did you choose America versus like going back to Spain or to like another hot spot for road racing?
Yeah, we had an option to go to Europe or come to America, and then just with my dad's experience, he came back in 2010 and was crew chief for Ben Bostrom, and then so we had an option, and my dad he was like, we need to go somewhere that we can call home. Everybody speaks the same language, it won't be that big of a difference in culture and everything. So we settled on America, and honestly, I'm so glad we did. I'm so happy we did, because what Chuck Axland and Wayne Rainey and Richard, what they've done with MotoAmerica, I think is unreal. And now you see it. There's a lot of Europeans wanting to come to America and race. So I'm stoked we made that choice for sure. But yeah, I think Europe's also it's kind of a long shot. They like to take care of their own, and if you're not Spanish or Italian or French, it's a little bit harder for sure. And you have to just have so much money.
Yeah, I mean, when you said you rode like Bender's bike back then, obviously they must have had an idea on their trajectory. Like, what kind of stopped you from following that route? Because obviously,
just money.
That's really all it was.
Yeah, money. I mean, I don't want this to come across the wrong way, because the Benders are amazing people. They don't flaunt their money at all. It's very special people. But yeah, they had the funding to go do whatever they wanted to do. Whether it was 125 races in England or go to Italy, and they had everything they needed.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier, obviously.
Yeah.
So, like I said, when you guys actually made that decision, was it like, okay, we're just going to pack our bags and go figure it out kind of thing? Because I think I read somewhere that you guys were like, you lived in an RV initially, right?
Yeah.
Or something like
yeah.
that.
Well, it was crazy because I actually came and did the Red Bull Rookies Cup selection in 2008.
Oh, no shit.
Is that the one that?
Yeah.
In
Packed
America.
up?
So I got selected, and dude, my dad sold everything. Like, we had signed the contract, sold house, cars. Like, we were coming to America in 2009.
Was this? Oh, so this was going into the second year.
This
that
was
it got
going
canceled.
into 2009. Yeah. So I was here for the 2008 selection, race 2009. Sold everything. Like, we were coming to America, and like, I think it was like a few weeks before we left, get a phone call. Sorry guys, it's canceled.
Dude, there's so many people that we've had, like the last 3 people on this pod talk about the Rookies Cup and how it's like they were selected. Richie, it's like the Rookies Cup has really, like, that time period. It's like a scar on a lot of people, and it's changed everybody's trajectory.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
Yeah. No, it is crazy. Like, who knows what would have happened if I came to Rookies and raced it at 9? Like, who knows? So that was a big step back for us. And then coming to America in 2015, we were willing to do whatever it took to come race. And we lived in an RV, actually a trailer like this, but quite a bit smaller, not as nice. And we lived in Danny Walker's property in Colorado. and just did whatever we could to go make it to each and every race.
So after 2009, when they called, or 2008 going into 9, when they said, "Hey, like it's off," did you guys buy house back again in South Africa and stay there until 2015?
Yeah, we just, obviously my dad had some money from selling everything, so we just kind of started building back up and just went right back to racing in South Africa. And I think a lot of what my dad's done throughout his career, I think even him coming here in 2010, being crew chief with Ben Bostrom, he was fishing for opportunities for me. And obviously I don't think if my dad didn't have the history he did and did what he did, had all the connections, I don't think I would have been here. So it was kind of a crazy time. That first year in America was tough. Me and my dad fought. I mean, dude, it was bad. I mean, you could imagine living in a trailer with being with your dad 24/7, and I was a little shithead of a kid, and we fought. There were so many times we were like, "That's it, we going back home, dude. We packing it up, we going back home."
How old were you?
I was 20.
So you're right, just a young man, just like trying to figure things out as well.
Yeah.
And like, what was that feeling when you first stepped into America? Like, I always wonder, like I remember the first time I stepped into Europe and I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like it was like I couldn't even fathom like this is like
from like the rider standpoint or just the country itself.
Just the country, and
you
like,
could imagine coming from a third world country,
that's what I'm saying.
Like
you went from Zimbabwe and then you're like, dude, South Africa was like America, and then what was like going from South Africa to America? Like what was that feeling? And where did you come in at? What port?
We flew into DC.
Oh, okay. So you came into America.
Yeah.
Went straight to the White House.
And it was funny.
Like, I got this passport. I need your photo.
Funny enough, the only embassy for Zimbabwe is in DC. So
No way.
yeah, dude. I mean, crazy. You can just imagine that feeling. Like I was like a deer in headlights. It was like being at Disneyland for the first time, as a little kid. But yeah, we landed in DC. I was in a tank top and shorts. It was middle of winter, dude. It was freezing cold. I walk out the airport. I was like, what are we doing here? And then we drove from DC to Colorado, picked up that F-250 that I was telling you about. And cruised to Colorado and met the team, Road Race Factory, there like 2 days later.
So how did you meet the Road Race Factory and Danny Walker?
So my dad and Danny were good friends back in the day when they raced 250s together here. And then obviously at Rookies Cup, Danny was kind of handling the whole thing. So I met Danny at the Rookies Cup selection, and we just somehow stayed in contact. And when the opportunity came, he hit us up, and we had to take it.
I just want to go just slightly back. When you were racing those years and you won the championship even in Supersport, like what is that like? If you could equate that to, I guess, MotoAmerica level, what is that series like in South Africa?
Back then it was strong, like we still had Sheridan Moraes and Lance Isaacs, Clinton Seller, like, so there was a lot of fast guys, but nothing like coming to America. I think I was lucky. My first race was at Coda, and it rained. I think we only had one race that weekend. I think it was with the MotoGP guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in 15. And it rained in our race, so I'd never raced in the rain either. Like first time in America at Coda, dude. Like you can just imagine, like driving into Coda. I was like, whoa, this place is sick. And I ended up leading the race, and I think I crashed out of the lead with Gerloff and JD and all those guys. But the very next race, I think I was like 3 seconds a lap slower. So it was like a big wake up call. I was like, damn, maybe I'm not good enough to do this.
Were people making money in South Africa though? Like, is that like was obviously you came here for a reason, but
no, I think I made 5,000 Rand for my championship, which is probably like $300, if that.
No shit.
Holy smokes! Wow.
Yeah. So it was tough. I mean, I had a full-time job as a salesman for a bike dealership that actually sponsored our race team.
What were you selling?
Oh, yeah. We sold everything, dude. We had
What
like,
do you mean? What was he selling? He's working at a bike
I know
dealership.
what brand. I'm just like, I just trying to imagine you as a sales guy.
could you imagine?
I,
Suit
would,
and tie.
I would love it. Dude. I would
Yeah, I'll
love
show you some photos later.
Yeah.
You just send them to us. We'll put them in.
Yeah, but we sold MV Augustas, so I won my championship on an MV.
No way.
Yeah,
it. Wow.
yeah. So they were like the official MV Augusta, and then we had like a fleet of 500 secondhand bikes that we just sold. The owners of the shop, it was massive, like huge, the biggest in South Africa. They would come to America and go to auctions and just buy thousands of bikes at a time, and then they would just keep coming back. So it was a good time because we sold so many bikes, so we were actually able to make some money. But yeah, dude, it was
what you had to
funny.
do.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Me showing up to work every morning 6 and suit and tie. It was
Really?
pretty funny. Yeah.
Suit and tie and all?
Yeah.
No
That's
way.
Yeah.
nuts. I would have loved it. That's so funny.
And you're at that point like 18.
Yeah, fresh out of school. And it was, I remember like one of the stories, we had this guy come pick up a CBR 1000. It's back in the shop getting ready. They put brand new tires on it. It's in winter. So a guy comes to pick his bike up. I'll go back to the shop to get the guy's bike. And there's like a little driveway that we ride around to get to the front of the shop. And it's cold, brand new tires. I ride out through the gate. Thing just
You did?
crashed the dude's bike in the
No
parking
way.
lot, dude. Brand new. Crashed the guy's
And you were
bike.
racing at this point.
I was racing at the point for those guys. Yeah, it was bad.
That's so funny. I broke my collarbone in a parking lot.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? That's
Doing
where the
like
bad
5
stuff
miles,
happens.
yeah.
I think Cam Bobier did his knee and on the street on a
I think he was
Zuma.
fucking around on the Zuma.
Yeah.
I crashed in
pretty
pit
crazy.
lane once.
Did you?
Yeah, Infineon. I went and tested the track. I'd never been there. I was with JP.
I remember
I
that.
had a brand new National Guard Michael Jordan suit on a brand new stock 1000, no tire warmers. I roll out of pit lane going down Infineon. You know that you roll down and go left.
Yeah.
Literally, I just went like this, bro, just spun out. I just,
That was the old Dunlops.
and I remember,
How bummed were you? A fresh,
bro, I literally turned around and rode back up there.
Was
And
I
I'm-
there? I feel like I remember that.
dude, I was like, I just remember going up because Gallardo was there, and I'm like, gee, I just fucked up.
He's messed up, dude. Didn't even get onto track.
Gee, then he started going out in the session before to warm the tires up for me.
No tire warmers though? That's
Dude,
crazy.
I
They
know.
weren't slicks though back then. Though.
No, they were DOTs.
Yeah, they're
They're
DOTs.
like Q2s or Q3s.
Okay.
Yeah, the
yeah.
original ones. This was a long time ago.
Dude.
Oh, that's good. We've all done stupid shit.
Yeah. So then coming to, I guess before that, at what point in your riding career, racing career, were you like, this is, because you did other stuff, right? You were like big into sports. You're pretty, you're big rugby, right?
Yeah, rugby and cricket. Like, my dad made me go to school. The only reason why I probably showed up to school was for my school sports. And then, probably when I was like 12, 13 was the same time I actually got scouted to play for our province, our state, rugby and cricket, but all the matches were on Saturday. So it was a choice. Like, are we going to go try make a career in rugby or cricket or race motorcycles? I was like, we're going racing motorcycles. So, but sports it's a big part of my life.
So when you talk about rugby and cricket, what path would that have looked like? Would you have gone up to South and stay in South Africa and then do that, or would you have to go to Europe or like? Well, I mean, cricket. Where do you go to?
Yeah, so I mean, cricket's massive.
I know it's huge, especially in India, right?
Yeah, India, it's massive. Same in South Africa, it's huge. So that whole, like, if I'd continued on that path, I probably would have still been in South Africa playing for, and who knows if I would have made it there. But you just play for your country, and those guys get paid good. They you just imagine like how soccer players get treated. It's the same for rugby and cricket in South Africa.
But I mean, rugby is like super physical. Is cricket physical? Like,
Cricket ain't physical. I mean,
so can you have like a long career? Like,
Yeah.
I know nothing about cricket except for they throw it down, hit
Yeah.
it, and like
Yeah.
I don't. It's like kind of like a baseball-ish.
similar to baseball, just a few different stuff. But that's why I'm a big baseball guy. Like, for some reason, out of all the American sports that I got into, like, baseball's my.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but
That's
I love
cool.
it.
That's
I love
sweet.
it. but yeah, it's
You made that decision then, like I guess, like
pretty young. So I went to, they're called area trials for cricket. That's where I got selected. And then it was just kind of there and then on the spot. As soon as I got selected, kind of guess I just wanted to see if I was good enough to get selected. And then there and then on our way home, my dad was like, "What are we doing?" I was like, "No, we're racing bikes." Yeah.
Do you ever like reflect back on that and kind of wish differently?
No, I don't. I mean, maybe if my career hadn't gone this way, for sure I would have. But I'm pretty happy with all the decisions we've made, and I think we're in a good spot right now. So, but who knows what would have happened. But I think racing motorcycles is a lot more fun than playing cricket and going to practice and all that stuff.
What's it like coming to a country that you go there? Obviously, it's such a big sport, and you come here and it's like literally people are like, "What is cricket?"
Yeah, I missed it. So I would stream every single game. Like I missed it so much, but because even after school, we had a club. So I went to play club cricket, club rugby. Like I kept doing it even after school. So coming here was like sports is my thing. Over the weekend, if I'm having a lazy weekend, the wife just has to understand we're watching sports all weekend. Like I'm that kind of guy.
Just got every single screen with something else.
Yeah, I'm that kind of guy. So coming.
You gamble on it all, or?
No, but I should. I bet on a few fights here and there. So a big UFC guy as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, coming here was a pretty big adjustment, just not having those sports around and kind of stuff to do, because we would play 2, 3, 4 times a week. We would go play club cricket or club rugby, do something like that. So
how'd you decide on your teams in America then? Just because you're in California or what?
Yeah, I mean, I fell in love with San Diego, you know. So yeah, I'm anything San Diego. I'm full supporter. That's why I mean,
move to the next place.
Yeah. No, that's why I mean. I know the Chargers aren't San Diego anymore, but I'm a Chargers guy as well, just because.
Just through and through, just bleed it.
Yeah, San Diego, baby.
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, so I guess we can get into like actual, America chapter racing wise. Road Race Factory back then, that was like 3 riders at the time, right? You got like Super Sport.
4. Jake was on the stock 1,000, and then three Super Sport guys.
Yeah, and so that first year, you got through the first race, thought it was pretty good. Second race, not so much.
No.
Well, where were you as like a mentality wise? Like, because obviously we talked about it a little bit already, but South Africans are a little bit loose, and that's probably why you were so good in the rain right away. Like then versus now, even in the last 2 years, you can see a difference in you as a person on the bike and off the bike. But back then, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, dude, all over the place. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it was 2 or 3 races into the year, and I was talking to I was like, dude, we got to go home. Like, I'm not good enough to do this, and I don't want to keep getting beat by 20 seconds. Like, this sucks. And then just with the whole living arrangements and me and my dad not having the best relationship back then, it was tough. Like, I was ready to go back home, be with my mom and my sister. So, but, there was some stuff in the first half of the season that there was an experimental shock on the bike that, we didn't really know where to come from or what it was doing on the bike. And I was struggling race after race after race. I was just like, man, I don't have a good feeling on the bike. And you know what it's like when dads get involved in racing, like everybody starts to get a little bit egotistical. And so eventually my dad just stepped in. He was like, listen, I know that there's something going on. Like, Cam shouldn't be 3 seconds a lap slower than these guys. And Scotty Jensen was Jake's crew chief at the time. He came over to our side of the tent and was like, all right, let me have a look at it. Threw a different shock in the bike, podium, top 5s, like was fighting with the front guys. So, but up until that point, like I was ready to go home.
And just like that, just a shock, changed everything for you.
Yeah. Put a shock in, and I can't remember. I think it was Indianapolis was the first time we put a different shock in there, and I think I finished top 5 and was kind of battling with the guys. And then from there on out, like the mindset kind of shifted. I was like, okay, I can do this. So, then got on the podium at New Jersey that first year. So ended off the season really strong. But the deal is like, just keep paying, left with nothing at the end of the year.
That was my next question. When you came over on that was did you guys have to bring funding for that, or was it?
Yeah. My dad pretty much spent everything he had, all of his savings, like everything he had done through his career to come do that first year. It wasn't cheap by any means. Like I could have gone and raced World Supersport for probably a little bit cheaper.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think people necessarily understand what that actually equates to. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's massive. Even my dad just taking that sacrifice changed his whole life as well.
Yeah, he's got to give up.
Yeah, he's got to give up everything, and living in a trailer, coming from living on a golf course to living in a trailer, and so that first year was tough, and on top of paying for our ride, we had to pay for all our travel and.
Yeah,
it
turned into $150,000 a year. Or something
it was quite a bit more than that. So
wow.
Yeah,
I think people don't realize that what's crazy about that is when the year's over, it's over. Like
that's it.
Like it's if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like it's you just pretty much
you get one of these and
you pretty much just put it on red and you lost.
Yep.
And even then, sometimes like even if you do great, I mean, obviously at the end of the year you close it out where you're like, yeah, I should have some people calling something on the table.
Yeah. And then even the next year,
it's not a return though.
No,
like
you don't get a return.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get. You're not getting a $250,000 salary just by one.
Yeah.
Like it's a slow process.
Yeah. And that's one thing I'm so happy with, that my dad was, my dad's never been hard on me. He's never pushed me to do anything, but the resilience that he made me have, and the tenacity, like stay here and just keep trucking away. Something's gonna happen. Like I'm so stoked he was hard on me in that way.
Gritty.
Yeah. Because even after the second year, so we had to pay not as much, but we had to pay the next year to go race with M4 on the 600. Me and Valentin de Beast were teammates that year. And even that year, I won Suzuki's first race that they hadn't won in a while. Got on the podium a whole bunch. I think I finished third in the championship or something like that. And same at the end of the year, it's just like, January comes around and you're like,
for people that don't realize, like the Bees wasn't paying at that time, I don't think.
I mean, I don't know. I never really asked questions or found out, but a lot of these European guys though that come over here, they have personal backers.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's the money's coming straight out of their pocket, but I know a lot of these guys that come over here have some company or some rich dude that's like, yo, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least makes it a lot easier to make that jump when you're not.
Well, I mean, M4 hasn't been around this long without taking money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the game.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
That whole shock deal you said. Can you explain what that's kind of like in terms of for people who are just watching? Because I don't think I know what that's like, right? When you just feel like you're missing, and if you're missing something when you're racing for tenths or even a second, it's like it's life changing. But describe what that gave you just by changing out of shock.
Oh, just feeling, and it just felt like so much weight had been lifted off of my shoulders, because finally it's like, always in the back of my head, I was like, dude, my family sacrificed everything for me to be over here. I can't come here and fail. So there was a lot of pressure on me, and then finally getting that new shock in and having a feeling with the bike that I knew I could ride, it was just like.
Do you think a lot of it's mental at that point? Like just knowing.
I did, I think
yourself?
You guys know, confidence is key in this game, and believing in yourself, believing that you can win, and that's why I got a mental coach this year, is because last year was a rough year, and dude, the mental game's such a big part of this. He's what he's done for me this year has kind of changed my life. It really has. So at that time I was like, dude, I can do this. I am good enough to make something happen.
Now, touching on you said, you and your dad butted heads a lot. I mean, I don't know your dad super well, but just seeing him around and whatnot, he seems like he's pretty even keeled, doesn't get worked up about a lot of stuff. Is that actually how he is as a dad, or is he a little bit more of because I know you have a little bit of a tendency to be a hothead sometimes. Where did that come from? I guess is where I'm leading that to.
No, it's, you know, my dad's the best human being ever. I love that man. I've learned so much from him, but you know, he's old school. He's, you know, behind closed doors. Like I said, he never pushed me to do stuff that I didn't want to do. Or if we're at the racetrack, he's like, "Hey boy, just go do your best." And if I finished 10th, he was like, "Good job." You know, he never pushed me, but super, super old school. You know, had to be proper. Like, I remember one year I bleached my hair. He didn't talk to me he didn't talk to me over my birthday, over Christmas, because I kept it. He's like, "I'm not talking to you till you."
You must think I look like a real idiot. Every time I see him now, I'm like, this guy thinks I look like just an asshole.
He's come, like, the last 5-6 years, he's kind of loosened up a bit in that way.
He's getting Americanized.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, when you get to know him, you like his road rage and stuff.
Oh, so he's got a side to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got that other side to him. So I think that's where I picked up that little bit of a hot head. Yeah.
Because you don't really see that in him. Like, and you, like, you're like, you know, a little bit loose and just like, you know, like you're a little bit louder of a personality. Where him, I mean, like I said, I don't know him super well, but just seeing him, obviously he's working at the track, but he seems like he's pretty like.
No, he is. He's you know, super mellow and doesn't get too excited and everything, but
until he does.
Until somebody cuts him off.
Saws his front wheel off, and he's just
so funny. Send him to New York. He'll fit right in.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. So
and I think that, like, going back to that feeling of getting that, like, you know, when they change the shock and you were like seeing the same guy go through the same corner and just dusting you, and then that time it happens and they just don't pull away. That feeling of confidence, like, ooh, I got you. I
exactly.
got you.
Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah,
dude. Like I got
that
you.
That feeling is like, I think for people that doesn't understand is so. I think it's just relieving.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
whew, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean,
and that's the thing. It's like if I qualify good and I'm fast, I actually get a little less nervous than if I'm like struggling and I know I've got to go out there and battle. Like, if I qualify in pole, I actually get a little less nervous because, like you said, I know I'm like, I got it. Like, I'm there. I don't have to do anything crazy. And that's what that feeling was like. It's just so relieving.
Back then as well, like 2015, 2016, those are like the Graves kind of heydays as well. And were you aware of how much different probably your stuff was compared to theirs? Is that
because that was Morelli, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know,
Yeah.
but I know back then it was much different.
It was the tail end of Morelli where they were like the peak. Like,
yeah, those 600s were good. I had an understanding of how good those things were. But our road race factory bikes were pretty dialed in as well.
Because Jake had won the championship like the year before, probably, right?
Yeah.
2 years before, maybe.
But I mean, I knew how good those things were, and I remember I went and stood in Chuck Graves' rig at the end of every year, and I was like, "Hey, dude, if you know, like, put me on one of those things," and he pretty much just laughed in my face every time. So, which is understandable, you know. You had Jiggy Dog and Gerloff, so can't get rid of those two guys.
Yeah. So after the M4 year, I mean, I guess at this point, were you on teams in South Africa? Like, was this your first experience on a big team?
No, so the team I won my championship with, Portable Shade, Brad and Assis, did like the nicest setup I think I've ever seen. Even compared to here, like the rig was insane. Like the nicest rig. Everything was split in half, all the bikes, everything went underneath, and the whole top of the truck was a rider's lounge. We had like full on it was the nicest setup I think I've ever seen.
That's sick.
Yeah. So no, we had a pretty nice setup in South Africa.
And so, like, how much does it take to run a team in South Africa? Like, I mean, like, are they spending that much cheddar? I mean, obviously they must have some budget because they're buying thousands of bikes or whatever. Hundreds of bikes when they come over here.
No, I mean, the thing is, the bikes are obviously a lot more simple than what we run them here. So I think you don't have to spend as much on the bikes to go racing. But I don't know, probably half of what it takes to run a proper team here, and the main thing is just the travel. Dude. You know, like
I thought South Africa was much bigger, but you said it only takes 15 hours to get across.
Yeah, I think it's smaller than California.
That's actually insane. I fully did not think that. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I thought it was fucking Greenland or something.
Like you think Africa is such a big continent, so South Africa is similar, but it's not.
No, it's pretty small.
Wow, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, me
No.
too, apparently. We're just on a geography lesson.
That's why we do this, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just bringing in the facts.
Schools
Yeah.
for fools.
Dude, it's crazy. Speaking of Africa, I went and I think it was after I won the championship, I went and did a race in Angola, which is more central. And I've never seen so many people at a racetrack. Again, I'll show you some photos. Like I had to have security guards around me 24/7. Like I was getting mobbed by people. It was a pretty cool experience.
But there's no money.
no money.
Wow.
No money.
That's just because the population doesn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
And like for whatever reason, especially now in South Africa, like growing up, the support was pretty big, and now there's nothing.
Like
nothing.
manufacturers,
No
sports
manufacturers,
sponsors,
like no big companies, nobody supporting anything. So, obviously, yeah, we don't need to get into that.
yeah, but it makes it hard to go racing.
Yeah.
Obviously, people don't realize that. I mean, I think that's, a little bit of MotoAmerica is they've figured out how to do it without so much manufacturer support, but it took a while, and that's kind of what I think that like big downturn was. And now people have kind of figured out whether it's outside money or finding enough rich guys or whatever the case is.
People are starting to figure it out
Yeah.
for sure.
It's like BSB, dude. They figured it out a long time ago. Like that 0 to whatever $20 million company, like that likes race, that still owns it. It's not a corporation or whatnot. I mean, obviously we have some really big corporations that are coming into it because of it, but there's so much of that money that's just somebody that still likes racing and would rather dump it into
because they love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
How many tracks are there? Is it a big calendar?
No. So there was Bekisa, Vulcan, where they had the MotoGP race in 2004.
Is that like Johannesburg?
That was
is that what they call it?
no. So the track in Johannesburg was Kailami.
There you
They
go,
had
Kailami. Yeah, I heard all
Kailami.
about this.
Yeah, so Porsche just bought them a few years ago and like fully revamped the place. It's like world class.
But why? Why did Porsche buy it?
Because I guess they wanted a place. It's got a super long front straightaway, and I guess they wanted a place to test their cars at top speed. So, yeah,
probably cheap as well.
Yeah, probably a lot cheaper than
It's
anywhere else in the
interesting,
world.
like in South Africa.
Yeah.
Of all places.
Yeah. Well, and just down the streets, like I think the biggest Porsche dealership in the Southern Hemisphere. So.
So you say that. So obviously there's money, but it's a huge disparity of wealth.
There's pockets like. There's a place called Santon, which is the richest square mile in Africa, I think. Big money, massive money. But you go 15 minutes down the road and you're in rural shacks, tin houses.
Wow.
Like,
and that's a lot of like the mining and all that stuff goes on probably, right? Is it based around that? Is that kind of where the money is? Or is there other stuff?
Yeah. Most of it's like construction, mining, like all got to do with that. And that's how the Binders, that's how they survived. Was I think they supplied all the gear to go mining, and I think
wow.
yeah.
So now, like that city, the richest square mile or whatever, is it is that like gated? Or like,
No. It's
okay.
just it's like a big city. Like you drive into a city and that's it.
It's just a bubble.
Yeah, just a little
Interesting.
bubble.
And everyone just stays.
But there's definitely pockets of
Yeah.
areas that have a lot of money. Some wealthy people live there, but 15 minutes down the road, and it's like you are.
I think it's just so hard to comprehend because you see just like on social media and stuff like that, you only see like the kind of bad stuff and like all the people that moved from South Africa to come here and they just post about like, oh, like it's going downhill or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think just like everything, there's always nice places.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Which, I mean, for the most part, big picture, South Africa has taken a big downfall. But it's like anything. It's like going to Mexico, you just know the do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
And when you know that, like, it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
But like Cape Town, probably one of the nicest places you'll ever go to. But it's run by a different political party. So it's really, really nice.
Okay.
That's so interesting. Did you surf?
No, first time surfed was
I know with your
California.
long hair.
California, yeah. I was like 6 hours from the beach, from the ocean. So yeah.
What was the deal with the long hair? Just something you want to do?
Just something I wanted to do. Yeah, I just wanted to try grow it out and say I did it and dude, as soon as I cut it, I was so happy. I was like, why did I have long hair for
You
so
said your
long?
chick liked it too, right?
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted you to look like
Fucking-
Johnny Depp or something.
Like at night, just fucking combing your hair.
Which I liked as well. I was like, yeah, play with my hair.
Pull my hair, baby.
Oh, shit.
That's
Okay,
so funny.
so after M4 year, you're still kind of. When did you get your first real opportunity?
First opportunity was
Like when did you stop paying?
2020.
Okay.
Yeah. So 17, I raced. I did one race with Aussie Dave. Same. We had to pay, but it was not a lot of money. So yeah, he put together a stock bike for us and went and did. I think the only race I did was Coda. I ended up qualifying 5th out of Superbikes and stocks. I was on a heater of a lap and then crashed out of turn 1 off the start, came out little high side and then went to Road Atlanta. Had a crash on the Friday, steering damper put a hole through the frame and Aussie we were paying for crash damage at the time and he was like, hey, like we might have to rebuild the bike. And I sat down with my dad and I was like, dude, we gotta put the family first. Like this isn't working. And at the time I was extremely sick. Like I've never like picture somebody as broke as can be. That was me. You know, Jake put me up in San Diego at his house, didn't charge me a cent of rent for 2 years. I stayed on his couch and like I was buying a pizza and having a slice a day and like just trying to do everything I could just to feed myself. So I got really, really sick in 17. Especially after I stopped racing, went back and like just literally no form of income. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything other than race motorcycles. So that was a really tough part. And then Jeremy Latrosse, one of the co-founders of Twitter, he was involved in the super camp scene. And halfway through the year, he was like, hey, dude, like, let's go do a few more races. I'll pay for you to go race Aussie Dave. And I was so sick at that point that I did 2 laps and would throw up in my helmet the whole time. I got down to like 138 pounds. I'm like 150, 154 now. So like I was just, my body was eating itself pretty much. So yeah, that year was tough, stepping away but we had to, you know, I couldn't. My dad was also living out of his suitcase, going from couch to couch, and it just got to a point where it's like, this isn't worth it. You know, we got to put the family first and see if we can start a life.
So at that time, so were your dad was trying to figure out his own deal, you're trying to figure out your own life? Like, and Jake, you mean Jake Gagne?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Gagne. Yeah.
So you're just trying to figure out like what to do next?
Just how to live. Yeah, like seriously, what can I do to live? Because like I said, with my visa and everything, I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything other than race motorcycles.
Wow.
And
You're on like a sports visa or something? Or?
Yeah, on the P1.
Yep.
So yeah, like literally just trying to figure out how to live, how I'm gonna get food on my plate the next day, and yeah, it was crazy, dude. I mean, like I had to phone my mom and my dad and be like, hey, can you send me another $100? Like I need a fend for myself for this week. And
I think that's something people also don't realize, like that kind of and when you come here from a different country and you do that, you kind of are sacrificing your means to support yourself.
yeah,
If it doesn't work out. And
Yeah.
obviously we're in a sport where like if you're coming here to play hockey or play basketball or baseball or something, like you're coming here and you're gonna make some money if you're making that commitment, where we're making that commitment to really
like
to spend money.
spend money. That's it.
But then you have no way to
on
replenish the money.
on the slight chance of maybe you make it one day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you come with a team, they're going to get some sort of support with nutrition, like, and all that, because they're going to, like, they're looking after the team.
No, I guess I'm
Yeah.
saying in this case, like where you were paying to be on a deal
Yeah.
and it didn't work
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
like, but then you're
Yeah.
stuck here with no
Yeah.
way to actually,
Yeah.
like the government is almost
Yeah.
kind of tying your hands in a way.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah, it was tough. And obviously the first few years weren't like that because I was with Road Race Factory, living with Danny and Mick. Like Danny and Mick did so much for me, dude. Mick would come by, she would buy me clothes and come back and like have clothes for me because we had nothing. My dad spent everything on racing. So yeah, the first 2 years weren't like that, but then, you know, things slowly got worse, and then I couldn't keep living in the trailer either. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to go to San Diego, spend some time with Jake. Jake was winning championships. Like, I just wanted to be around Jake because, like...
He's where you wanted to be.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, the guy's mental game and everything's so strong. I was like, I need to be around that guy and see what I can pick up on. And, dude, it was a struggle.
I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, I mean, I had no idea. Like, I mean, sure, a lot of people don't because you're not probably telling a ton of people or that weren't close. But, I mean, one that probably gets you gritty. Like, that probably builds some sort of mental, but, like, you got to want it. But how did it mentally affect you in the other ways of, like, because you talk about you getting an opportunity and not even being able to take really advantage of it because you're, I mean, sick. Like, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's insane to hear.
I mean, I was in a dark place in 2017, like in a really, really dark place. And I mean, honestly, I thought my career was done. I was like, this is it. We come here, we wasted everything and sacrificed my family's money and I didn't make it happen. Like, I was in a super bad place. And then, luckily I had American Super Camp, but still working for Super Camp here and there. And they'd known what I'd gone through, and Danny and Mick did. And Christmas 2017, at the end of that year, I opened up a Christmas gift from Danny and Mick, and it was a factory Honda contract to go ride their Superbike. So, like I said, if it wasn't for them, like, I probably would be back home right now.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, it's talked about all the time, like when professional athletes stop doing their sport or whatever the case is, but usually that's by means of like retirement, by a choice, and they've made a lot of money.
I've had a good inning, like I'm done.
Yeah. And it's also not as intense as racing, like that, the level of adrenaline, just all the stuff that you go through on a weekend by weekend basis, and then you have to like go home and sit on the couch. What did you learn from that? I guess, like, I know personally when I took some time off, like, same thing, and I wasn't anywhere near the state you were in. Like, I went home and I had, a job, like work my family's dealership and stuff like that. But, just that side of it, like kind of having to reevaluate your identity. How did you get through that? Or what did you build from that, I guess? Like, were you like, I'm still a racer, like I'm still gonna figure this out, or are you starting to like think like, what is plan B?
Honestly, there wasn't much thought going on. Like I said, I was in a super bad place. But I think with me still riding at American Super Camp and all that, I was like, there was hope. I was like, maybe something's gonna happen. But all I ever wanted to do was race motorcycles. So even going through that time, I was like, it wasn't stopping racing. It was just taking a step back, finding our roots, making some routes, and then we'll work our way up from there. But I will say, like, one thing it taught me is I'll never let myself get back to that place, and I'll do whatever it takes to never get back to that spot. So I think it taught me a lot in life, away from the racetrack, to not let myself get back to that spot.
And so in that spot, are you still like trying to make phone calls and trying to get rides and stuff like that? Or are you just laying on the couch?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Well,
what
honestly,
does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, I was on the couch going surfing with Jake in the mornings and then chilling all day. And, I could have been better with picking up the phone and trying to phone people. But at that point, we had been paying for rides for 2 years, almost 3 years now. I honestly thought it was time, it was done, So I think having that mindset kind of stopped me from being proactive with the situation and being like, okay, what can I do? Who can I speak to?
Because it's just going to be, well, how much do you have?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like, how much money do you have? And I knew at that point we didn't have any. So, it was kind of just like sitting in limbo. Like, honestly, I wasn't doing much. And
did it help you? I mean, obviously being around Jake, he's going away to the races and then coming back, winning, doing stuff. Does that make it worse or make it better? Like, you try to live through, like, I mean, I just know my experiences, so I don't know that level, so I'm just trying to try to help people understand like what really like. I've never been to a place where I've not been able to eat, so I think that's something that's kind of super crazy, and I'm super sympathize because I think that's insane.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, honestly, I'd kind of just given up.
Yeah.
You know, which sucks to say because I like now that I actually think about it and think I could have done a lot more to try and make my situation better. But honestly, I just given up and like.
I think there's like a little bit of like shell shock almost.
Yeah.
In a way where it's like bitter. You know, it's like.
For sure. And honestly, like the whole time, I just kind of thought that I'd ruined my family's life. You know, like that was always in the back of my head. Like, dude, we've done all of this, and here I am on the couch struggling to eat, and and my dad was doing the same. My mom, my sister, like, and I was just like, I just ruined our life, you know. So
how are they getting on? Because they stayed back home this whole time.
Yeah.
So you've gone several years without even seeing them too, right?
So my mom and my sister were still back at home, and yeah, dude, it was tough.
Did you hide that you like were getting like skinnier and
tried to, but it was actually
it's okay.
It got to the point where obviously asking for help for so long, and then I had gone through all of this for the whole year, and it got to the point where my mom was like, actually no, my mom was in Colorado at the time, so they had just moved to America that year, I think. She was like, you need to come home and spend some time with us, and after a week of being at home, I was back to normal, just because I was able to like get nutrition in my body and actually, so like straight away it was back to normal.
Did they see it right when they saw you?
Yeah. Like even when I went back to South Africa, everybody was like, "Do you have AIDS? Like what's going on?" Like
it's not a joke.
yeah, it's not a joke. So yeah, it's just like it was a hard time. It was a hard time, but.
Those years what was your mom doing and your sister? Like, were they having to work at home? Obviously, I would imagine.
So my sister, I think she was working for a bike dealership, Tri-City in Colorado. Not 100% sure what her actual position was there. And then my mom, I'm trying to think but my mom's always been like an accountant, bookkeeper. So like she everywhere she goes, she picks up a job real quick. Real quick. Yeah. So I think she was doing something along those lines. So yeah, 2017 was the year.
I think a lot of people don't, even I mean, you know, James has been through stuff with his family, but not a lot of people have that weight of like, I've got my whole family with everything on the line, not just like, you know, if I don't succeed, then like my life is over, you know, like what you think of your life. Right. But when your whole family is across the world and, you know, they're literally putting everything into it, like that weight, I think is probably pretty substantial.
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty crippling too. Like how do you perform, you know, like it's tough to perform when you're
just all that pressure and like,
you got it. Like, this is it. This is your shot. And like, and to be honest, you did really well with your shots. Like that's what
I like to think so.
You know what I mean? Like when
considering how much pressure you're under.
Yeah, but I mean, I like to think always somewhere along the line and on those years that I like to think that I proved something to people that like, hey, I can do it, you know. But yeah, just the pressure was gnarly. But you know, like we would have conversations, and they wouldn't have it any other way. Like they would always just try reassure me like, it's okay, dude. Like, we fine. Everything's gonna be fine. At the end of the day, we're gonna be fine, you know. But still, just in the back of my head, I'm like, man, you know, it's like they telling me it's fine, but I don't feel fine.
Really
I don't feel fine about the situation.
I think a lot of athletes go through that, especially in the motocross scene. You know, where they, you know, the parents and give up everybody's for them to make it, and it's like the moto scene. They talk about it all the time.
Yeah,
I just think the biggest thing that's obviously different for them is, you know, they can get signed and they can pay their family back, and they can, you know,
they make enough money to be able to pay.
I mean, even like now where you're at and you're on a factory team and you're doing super well, I can imagine you're not in the situation where you're like, your mom and dad go retire, you're good.
No, I can't give them that.
Yeah, and you never will. That's
$500,000
just
back or whatever they spend
on
me. I can't. Like, no way, I can give that back. I'm still trying to
Yeah.
fend for myself in California, and what I'm making now is barely enough to do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's so insane
Yeah.
in that. So you get that factory contract that comes through on your Christmas, right? So first, what does that mentally do for you?
You should have seen
Did
the
you cry?
video. Oh, I was crying. There's a video of it. Like I was crying, just like got given another shot at life. So yeah, I was stoked, and then like we pretty much went straight to work after Christmas. We were like, all right, because that was 2018. So that was the year that Honda had pretty big support with Road Race Factory, but we had to develop the Morelli system for it. Like nobody had ever run it on the Honda. We were developing everything. So again, like I remember leaving Coda after the first race on the Honda, just absolutely nowhere. And you know, with Morelli, there's so many levels and things hidden behind other stuff that makes a bike do this and that.
For people that don't know, Morelli is obviously the electronics platform that you use to run the whole bike, the ECU, everything.
Yeah. And I think it was after like 2 races, we had somebody from the World Superbike Honda team come over to help us out because we were struggling. And like the whole time, 100% throttle was only giving us 75% throttle and like just a whole bunch of weird stuff. So like that year was a struggle as well, just dealing with first year on a superbike. I'd never dealt with electronics. Now I'm trying to develop this thing. So it was a tough year, but still had a great year. You know, Bobby came on board with like 3 or 4 races to go. So we were teammates there for a little bit. Crashed out of a podium. So again, like that year, I had some races where I was like, dude, hopefully people see it. Like I'm good enough to do.
Here.
Yeah. And then Honda pulled all the funding and everything that year. So
again,
Back to the
back to
zero.
zero.
back to square
And so
one.
with that factory Honda contract, did that come with like a paycheck, or was that just everything was free?
No, it had a little pay, but like
Yeah.
very, very minimal.
But that's probably something that's crazy. Like you're like, whatever, I don't care.
At that point, I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like I had pretty much a free ride, didn't have to pay for anything. They paid for my travel and everything. I was like, let's go.
I think for a lot of people, they don't realize like that's huge.
It's huge.
Like in America, just getting a travel bill paid for is like,
dude, my fly here was $1,200.
dude, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you spend 20-25 grand a year in travel.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's why it's like, that's why racing here in America is so expensive. It's just purely the country's so damn big. The travel to get across all these races it's gnarly.
Well, I mean, what is it for a truck? Like, what's a truck? Just the truck rolling.
To roll our semi is 80 grand with insurance.
So you should just
Dang.
80 grand straight into a thing just to run a truck.
Yeah.
With
Just to run a truck.
But
The
that's
semi, not my
Yeah.
not my RV.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
that's crazy.
if you insure the, everyone does things a little bit different.
is that with a driver or no?
No, that's not even with a driver's salary. I mean, that's paying like
That's-
a driver per diem, so depends. Most guys, 300 a day, roughly, 80 days.
Damn.
So 24
that's
grand.
crazy.
Yeah, 25 grand is
Yeah,
kind of what you can
it's
budget.
just it's so expensive.
You think about that, like you got to stack 100 grand, 110 grand just on top of, just put it on the program if you want to run a semi, and you need to run a semi to get any sort of sponsorship. I mean, you don't need it, but you do.
No, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
Having that presence, like it goes a long
And then
way.
you need 5 guys to fucking set the rig up.
Yeah.
Fucking,
Yeah.
you can't
You gotta
run
pay
10.
for their flights, and their
Dude,
hotel.
right.
and
It's
yeah.
crazy. Actually. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, logistics is like 100 grand a year just for the team. So,
Damn.
going into 2019, you had the Omega deal, which was like basically like you went from factory Honda, right, to factory racing out of a trailer, like a pickup truck trailer kind of deal, right? Essentially, I mean, it was not that bad, but
No,
it
it
was
wasn't.
a small effort.
Yeah, small effort, and again, it's tough for me to say anything bad about that year because Ken Chewy, the guy who owned the team, he was paying for a lot of that whole year out of his own pocket.
Yep.
But man, you want to talk about a hard year of racing? That was like probably the hardest year in my career. We just had, I can't even tell you how many DNFs. I mean, I don't even know how many races I finished throughout the year. It might have been like 2 or 3 races that I finished. Stuff was falling off the bike. It would be the Monday, Tuesday, the week of the race. We didn't know if we were going racing. Like, it was just always up in the air. but yeah, again, like, you know, end of the year at Alabama, we put all the stock stuff back on the bike, just the YMECU stuff, and battled for a podium against Tony Elias and all those guys, and like, just when things went right, I was able to show, I could show some sign that I was able to do it. But yeah, that year was crazy. I mean, just guessing if we're going to make it to the track or not, and what we're going to have. And I mean, dude, there was stuff falling off the bike. There's a clip of me at Pittsburgh with the pipe coming off, and then they just safety wiring the thing back on for the rest of the weekend. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Do you think though, like performing, like getting a 6th place, 7th place in Superbike on that thing, do you think that's kind of, I don't know, doesn't help you, but it kind of helps you more in the eyes of people who might be watching, like, this guy's riding a pile of shit and he's able to...
Yeah, I think the people that know what's going on are the ones that matter. Like, they're the ones looking. So I like to think so, but I was left with nothing again at the end of the year, you know, just scratching our head. And so who knows? And then the way 2020 happened was pretty wild as well, because whenever the first Supercross is, I don't know, what's it? January, like first week of
A1.
Jan, maybe, I think. Me and my dad were sitting in the stands, and Chris Ulrich happened to sit right behind us and asking, hey, what's going on? And saying, like, nothing, we've got nothing. And he sent Jeff Nassani a message. And within 15 minutes, we were kind of talking about a contract. And at
A1.
At A1, yeah. Yeah, so...
It's ruined my whole year.
Yeah,
That's
that
cool.
was a good year,
Thanks,
though. Hey, we had some battles, though. You had
barely.
some bad luck, though. You had some bad luck.
I think you smoked us the whole year.
I don't know about that. But yeah, so, like, even the way 2020 happened was crazy, and I feel like the universe has a funny way of working its way out, and it's like all these little things that I've gone through, and then, like, getting those opportunities. It's kind of the universe's way of being like, dude, you can make this. Like we're giving you the opportunity.
Yeah,
just
keep digging.
Just keep digging. Keep chewing away at it, and something eventually good is going to happen.
So that Altus deal, obviously, in your mind, did that feel like a step backwards because you're going Superbike, kind of like we're on this trajectory, and now it's a little bit of a backwards pivot?
Yeah, a little bit, but I can't remember who had done it. Somebody had done it before me where they went Superbike stock and it kind of restarted their career. So I just looked at it as like a new opportunity, something different. I hadn't raced in the stock 1,000 class. Obviously, Maddie did. Like, most of the guys coming up went through the stock class. Like, even Heron did. Obviously, this was after he raced the Superbike, but still. So I was like, this is an opportunity to try and make something happen. And yeah, I mean, I just had a great 2020, and I think that's really the year that kind of kickstarted my thing. And I think more than anything that year was the Superbike Cup, being able to race with the Superbikes, and there was a few races there in like Alabama where I was able to run top 5 and be up there with the guys. So I think that was kind of the turning point of my career was 2020.
Now, with that, you were working with Josh Hayes at that time, right? As like a rider coach. He's a pretty mental as well, though, right? Like, he has a kind of dual approach, I guess, if you will. He focuses a lot on that kind of stuff. So was that the first time you had worked with somebody?
Yeah, well, because Melissa, his wife, was actually my crew chief that year.
Right.
But no, Josh had been kind of working on and off with me, you know, even through the Honda year, he was working with me, but this was like the first time where it was full blown, he's my guy, and completely looking after me. And
what does that actually look like? Like, is he just going out there watching practices and telling you, or is it like comprehensive? So,
you know, most of the time it's him just going out there, seeing stuff with his eyes and like what I can do better. So a lot of it was riding coaching stuff, you know, ways we need to get off the brake, on the gas, like all of that kind of stuff. But a lot of mental stuff as well, and just away from the racetrack. Like, I spent a lot of time with his family. I drove his rig around. The 1 year, drove it to every race. So I spent a lot of time with his family, and he taught me just how to be a professional, you know, because
those first few years in America, I was a little shithead and just running around and wasn't scared to hurt people's feelings and say what I wanted. And he taught me how to be a professional, and I feel like that really helped me get to the spot I'm. Even going into 2020, like I feel like all those things just helped me get those rides at the end of the day.
So when you're driving his rig, was that your way to get to all the races for free?
Yeah, that was and he paid me a little bit, you know. Well, he was like, golf clubs or money. I was like, golf clubs. Golf clubs.
Yeah.
So that was a way for me to get all the races, and it was such a fun year because my wife was able to come. She came to all the races, traveled the country with me, and Jake was with me as well, like because he was racing Scheibe BMW at the time. I was on Omega. So yeah, it was cool. Like that was a fun year getting to travel together and like just doing cool shit.
Very cool.
Now, it's just speaking on Jake, I guess we can do it now or later, but obviously he kind of went through, not exactly because he had come from, winning a couple of championships and so on and so forth, but he had a similar kind of situation where he went from racing a world superbike to coming home to like
Scheibe.
Yeah.
Just nothing really.
Yeah.
I mean,
So did he kind of, he was in the same boat as you kind of for the first time in a way. Did you guys like, I don't know, sympathize with each other? Did you guys like,
I think so. I think
bond over that?
Yeah, I think so. That's why he was like, I'll jump in the rig with you and we'll drive around the country because we were going through the same thing. But Jake had just had a really bad ankle injury that year. He broke it on his motocross bike, and it's crazy. Like when you get to know Jake and like his mindset and everything, like racing isn't the be all end all. He looks at life as this, and so his whole thing that year was like, dude, I just want to be able to walk again and stand up on my surfboard. Like I don't really care about performing at the racetrack. Obviously he wants to. So yeah, like we were both going through a lot that year, and it was just cool to have somebody that was kind of in the same situation that we were able to go through it together. And I think it helped out. Like we had so much fun that year, regardless of what happened at the racetrack. Like we were just having fun, and that went a long way. Because honestly, I think that even kind of sparked some more motivation in me, because I went through a time there where I kind of dreaded getting on the bike. Like damn, I got to go do this again.
Yeah, well, especially when the bike sucks or
your
just
I just
week
didn't
out.
want to do it. Yeah. And then having fun that year and getting to experience all the cool stuff we did, that was kind of like, and it changed my whole mindset. I was like, you don't have to be so serious and like so dead on and locked in into all this stuff. Like have fun with it. Once the visor goes down, things change. It's so that was a sweet year, and I think we definitely helped each other through that time.
That's awesome. Working with Josh, just touch on that a little bit more. What is probably the biggest takeaway from working with him? Because you don't work with him anymore, right?
No, I don't. But honestly, like the biggest takeaway from Josh was all the stuff away from the racetrack. Just being a good human being and a professional and a family man and stuff like that. Like he just gave me a whole different perspective.
Kind of grow up a bit.
Grow up. Yeah, dude, it's time to mature and grow up, and I think that's the biggest thing that I learned from Josh was, just, dude, grow up, be a man, and stop being such a little shithead.
That's kind of funny, dude, because I had the same kind of scenario with Josh. I spent some time with him on a bicycle, and it was kind of the same thing. It was very short-lived, but yeah, it was kind of the same conversation. Yeah. I spent a lot of time with him, like in Mississippi and stuff like that, and yeah, he's definitely... He helps in that, like literally, it's kind of interesting that you say that, because he definitely helped me with professionalism as well. And just like very straight,
proper,
straight to the point.
He just knows what to say and what to do, and
just a good old boy. He knows, hey, you can't be doing this. What you're doing, you gotta cut it the fuck out. Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So you same situation.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
That's cool.
It's actually funny.
Yeah. What year was that? I'm trying to figure out where the fuck you grew
up. Probably around that Indy fucking hit time at Indy.
Yeah. That was a good time.
Yeah. It was time to grow up.
We got to cut in a little bit of an ad sponsor break here.
Let's do it. Take care of them.
Yes. As you know, Law Tigers is one of our partners, our only partner at the moment. Law Tigers is America's motorcycle attorneys. Lawyers. Law Tigers, lawyers.
Listen, if you or anybody you know that are in a motorcycle accident, please call Law Tigers, 1-800-LAW Tigers. There's no fees to the rider. They've got your back, and they will sort you out. As soon as we started this podcast, they were the first people to jump in and sponsor. They were like totally on board, and they do so much for the riding community all around the U.S. So please, if you know somebody, call Law Tigers, 1-800-LAW Tigers. They'll sort you out. You never ride alone when you're with Law Tigers.
That brings us into our Law Tigers tech tip. So I don't know if you've heard any of these, but basically they sponsor a segment, and it's just, any advice you'd have for a guy, whether it's a guy starting out racing, a kid starting out racing, dad starting his kid out racing, guy showing up to a track day for the first time. What's a big tech tip that you would suggest from your experience?
Tech tip? Like you actually want a tech tip, not
necessarily tech with the bike, but just anything that's relative to riding or
could be common sense. It could be techie. It could be whatever.
No, so I mean, obviously the actual technical side of riding is kind of hard to talk on. Everybody's so different. But out of my experience, if there's one thing I can tell all the dads, all the kids out there is like, don't push your son into doing stuff that he doesn't want to do. He's always going to give it his best. And to all the kids out there, just have that tenacity. Don't give up on the dream. We all go through our stories. We all go through our lows and highs, and just keep trucking away at it, keep digging, and you will find yourself in the place you want to be.
I dig it.
I love that. That's some motivational shit. Steve, put it on there. You put it on
Stay
there,
hard,
dude.
boys. Stay hard.
Stay hard. That's awesome.
You don't know me, son.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks to Law Tigers again for sponsoring the pod and also supporting all the riders out there on the street. Be safe and call 1-800-LAW Tigers.
Oof. I don't know. We're gonna need like a growl. Like,
You do need like a little soundboard quick. Tiger.
So, okay.
So going into that year, obviously Altus, you did really well. I think 9 wins. On the podium every race except for one. So you had like one race where you weren't. I don't remember, DNF maybe or something like that. But or Road Atlanta maybe it was with the brakes or something
Atlanta,
like that.
Yeah. Had 65 PSI on my tires.
That one. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
That's gonna be hard to ride.
Oh, dude, it was scary.
That's a good tech tip as well. Check your tire pressure.
Check your tire pressures, guys.
Front or rear?
Both. Both. Dude,
Nice.
Yeah.
Just a little whoopsie.
Yeah, it's all right, dude. Everyone makes a mistake.
Going through that year though, that was the first year you really kind of probably had to learn how to lead races and win races, and just like a big mindset switch from being kind of the underdog all the time to being the guy that everyone's chasing after. Mentally, what does that do for you, confidence wise? Just all that experience of kind of having to build yourself up to become, like I said, the guy on top versus the guy chasing all the time.
Yeah, it's it's crazy because you don't realize until you in the lead like what that pressure feels like, and it just, and honestly, like, you guys can say what you want, but you guys pushed me so much that year that I still had pressure. There were times where I was a little bit quicker, but the race would come and you guys would be within a second, 2 seconds the whole time. So like having that pressure all year and having you guys push me, it really did take me to a new level. And just knowing how to control that excitement when you're in the lead is, I mean, I still struggle with it. I still find myself in the lead and I get into a corner way deep just because I'm like so pumped. Yeah. But yeah, dude, that year definitely taught me a lot, and like just how to deal with the pressure of being in the lead and being the guy to beat. Like, it really did help me out a lot. And dude, seriously, like, I'm not just saying this because I'm here, but like having you chase me all year, like, it definitely made me a better rider.
I'd like to say the same.
Yeah, for sure.
It was tough.
But those races are the best.
Yeah.
You guys are just on the limit the whole
Yeah.
race, and it's like within a couple seconds or whatever. It's just like that's where growth is.
Yeah.
Is when you're just on the rivet.
Yeah.
And you're just, and I think it's awesome. Were you making money at the time? Because you're winning. Are you getting Suzuki money or anything? Is there any sort of contingency?
No, so I wasn't making much money, but luckily the Superbike Cup, that was the first year of the Superbike Cup, so I won that, and at the end of the year got 25 G's, but split it with the team, so I got 12 something.
So yeah, I was kind of just
You buy a G5?
yeah,
Playa.
just enough to get me through the winter, dude. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. No, I didn't make too much money, to be honest. I mean, had a little money from a rye, had the contract with a rye, and you know, made a few $1,000s here and there, but nothing crazy.
You had to deal with like Haggerty Insurance,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah, so the Haggerty Insurance, they bought Motorsport Rage, which Motorsport Rage handled like all the like, Supercross, MotoAmerica, all the registration stuff. And they just big motorsports people. And Kyle Bowen ended up coming to Road America that first year. Haggerty bought MSR. And yeah, he just liked racing. He liked bikes, and obviously he worked with my sister, so he just wanted to support me. And it was crazy because even that year on 2020 it was, they supported the team as well. I think they gave the team like 20 grand, and they gave me 5 grand. So yeah, they were kind of a big part of actually helping me get that ride, because that ride wasn't completely free either. But having Haggerty in there, it made it
grease the wheels a little bit.
I remember seeing the big Haggerty over the like. I remember seeing that design, and I'm like, "What is that?" Like I never knew anything, and then it only clicked Levance and Heinz year when I had to do my own registration. I was like, "Damn, dude, this is this guy. What the heck, dude?"
Yeah.
So your sister actually worked for Haggerty?
She worked for Motorsport Rage, but they bought Haggerty bought
Owns it.
Motorsport Rage. Yeah. So
Did your sister always kind of stay in the industry?
yeah, dude, she's more passionate about racing and motorcycles than all of us. I
Really?
promise you. Yeah, she's so on board with it. Yeah, growing up in Zimbabwe, I got all her hand-me-downs, like all her PW50s. And
So she actually rode?
yeah, she rode, and she would rip.
Really?
Like, on a flat track, like she could get around pretty damn good. So yeah, I got all her hand-me-downs, and again, like it's kind of tough looking back at it now. And I know she enjoyed it, but she sacrificed so much. She was at the racetrack every weekend with me. But yeah, she's absolutely, she's on the board of AMA now.
No
Oh
way.
wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, she's all about it. She's
And
all
did
about
she come to the races or?
Yeah,
still?
She was at Barber, I think I saw, right?
she came to the first 3 this year, and then
Sweet.
I think she'll be at New Jersey.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you, at the time, I mean, I don't think anyone really appreciates it at the time, but going through what you went through and all that kind of stuff, were you aware of kind of like even down to your sister, like how much they were sacrificing at that point in time? Like, or now that you're kind of in a different position, everyone's okay, you made it through, like you can actually reflect?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, honestly, it was more just kind of thinking about my dad and my mom.
Yeah.
Just because you got that sibling relationship, it's a little bit different. But yeah, like you said, now that I'm in the position I'm at, and I look back at my career and my life, it's like, damn, I feel sorry for her, because yeah, she just had to follow me around, and she was a great sportsman as well. Like field hockey, she was really, really good. Probably could have gone and played something professional with that later on in her career. So yeah, it's tough. Like, you know, I still feel bad about it, and she tells me like her life is great. She wouldn't have it any other way. This is exactly what she wanted to do. But yeah, it's still a little bit heartbreaking when you look back at it and be like, man, you know, my career kind of took her life away. But I think she's exactly where she wanted
Yeah,
to
I
be.
think you look at it both ways, right? I mean,
Yeah,
in the
but I
grand
also
scheme of things.
I also think that people, like parents getting into it, don't realize that it's like this like freaking black hole. Like racing a motorcycle, trying to make it sucks every energy out of everybody in the household, no matter what. And you have to be seriously rich to die for differentiate or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? I mean, even growing up with me, my brother and sister, like they sacrificed a lot too, and you know they did their own thing. They went up college and stuff like that. But still, it's like I look back and I kind of feel like a shithead. You know, growing up through it, like you know, not really respecting.
Yeah,
That they just took
I mean,
away.
at
Like
the
my
time,
dad
you
was with
just
me
don't-
every weekend.
Kind of like an only child, even though you're not an only child.
Like they were in sports and you know cheerleading and wrestling and
But
know,
at the time, it's like hard to even take a step back and look at it.
Yeah,
that
you
way,
can't,
because
just
you're
so
day to day.
focused,
and it's
just
not like a stickball sport where it's like the weekends and then when you make it, like you get going, the team takes over.
yeah,
and then they can go somewhere else. It's kind of so.
I will say though, like growing up and having that lifestyle, the one thing that I'm super stoked about was that how close our family was. Every single weekend we were together. I mean, we sat down every night at our dining room table, had dinner together. Like, that's one thing that racing did for our family, was it made us so close.
Yeah, I think so. Like we hear a lot about that too. Is you spend so much time and you become like you're not doing other things. You're not partying. I mean, people do whatever, but as a childhood, being in the race paddock as a child, growing up through that rank is pretty cool. Like, there's such a good community around here because everybody's trying to accomplish the same goal. Everyone's trying to do the same thing, but it's really hard to, like, if you're in this kind of paddock community, like, to really stray away and do bad stuff. Like, you do kids and you joke around and you get in trouble.
It's like there's enough money to go get in trouble.
Like
we're balling out. You know what I mean? If it was,
I just think
if it was, it'd be a little bit different probably. But
no, it's cool. I mean, most of my friends and like pretty much all my friends have come from the racetrack. So like all my closest friends all at the racetrack. So it's a cool thing to be a part of.
Do you still have friends back home? And
yeah, I do. Unfortunately, we don't have much left. I need to stop saying back home because this is home.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, but my
I'm waiting
dad
for the American accent.
I've tried. I just
moves to Alabama. Gets
hey, what does it sound like? Just sorry, real quick.
Hey man,
hey man, you want to drink a beer?
You want to drink a beer? You want a Coors Light?
A Coors Light.
I've been joking with Lessing because he got signed officially. He's American. Did you know that?
Did. They finally did.
Wait,
Karen,
what do you
they've
mean?
been at it for.
What do you mean he got signed? Like a fucking.
They approved.
He got their contract.
They stamped him in,
so
dude.
he's a citizen.
Yeah, he was at Ellis Island, and they stamped him in. No, he's a citizen. Like green card, fully a done deal. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't care that.
They've been at it for
a long time.
Years, like over 15 years, I'm sure.
Yeah, long time. But Karen, like a little bit earlier, and now Chris. But I just texted him the other day because he said he's coming to Brandon. I'm like, sick. I'll bring you a case of Budweisers and we'll watch some football.
Fully Americanized.
If his name wasn't Christopher or Chris, we'd have to come up with like an American name for him. But Chris is pretty American.
It is, yeah.
Just in time to vote, huh? Because he can vote now, right?
He's probably the last person to be paying attention to politics.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Because that's like the biggest thing, right? From a green card is voting.
Voting,
right?
yeah.
Depends which side. Of the
I guess you can't own a firearm either, though, right?
No,
with the green card. No, I don't think so. I don't know.
I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it. I'm sure they don't want to be giving foreigners guns.
Going into quick segue.
I was going to say,
dude,
that's going straight political. That's going straight down.
This isn't a political podcast.
No, dude.
Going from that year, Altus into the M4 deal with Team Hammer, was that kind of your goal? I know there was like some different talks about different options, but the reality was there wasn't a ton of other options because just the limited number of seats. Were you kind of going through that whole year like, if I do as well as I know I can do, that's what I should be able to get out of this?
Yeah, going into that year, I mean, kind of didn't know what to expect. Actually, you know what? I think 21 was probably the first year that I didn't have to pay for anything. And it was cool because I knew they had adopted the bikes from Yosh and they had good stuff. They had good crew. So I went into that year with some pretty high hopes, and I was like, I know there's going to be certain races where I can maybe show something. But, like, again, I don't want this to come across the wrong way because John and Chris have done so much for me, but I think everybody knows that the ultimate goal was Yamaha. They've won so many championships and everything. So, like, my ultimate goal was to go to Yamaha. And I was in talks with them in 21, but Josh brought Fresh and Lean onto the team and had a bunch of money behind him. So, yeah, I kind of knew going into 21 that 22 might have been the opportunity for me to go to Yamaha, but still had to do a job. But, yeah, they 21 was a sweet year. I can't remember how many podiums I got. I think it was like 11 or 13. Got my first win on the Superbike. So yeah, I think 21 was just enough. I did just enough for Yamaha to be like, okay, you know, like maybe we can do something with Cam. And but you know, all the guys in the M4 rig that year, it was a cool year. Like those guys kind of became like family. Like Rhett, the data guy he works with, Richie, we go to dinner almost every week, and like so that was a fun year, and we had a good time. But I feel like we proved a lot that year.
So when you were with Altus, were you so who were you talking to with that? So you finished the year and you said you had talks with Yamaha. Who were you talking to?
Tom Halverson.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you met him previous to that?
Yeah. So I mean,
Well,
you know, so when I was in the paddock and racing, at the end of every year with like 2 or 3 races to go, I would always just knock on people's rigs and be like, hey, can I just have a conversation? So like I'd had a few conversations with Tom and honestly, I think having Jake in the team and Josh Hayes, I think they were both kind of throwing my name in there, like, you know, we need to get Cam on board. And but yeah, I was talking to Halvey in 21, or yeah, before 21.
I think that's big for even young riders to hear that listen, like you can't just sit and wait for a phone call. There is no phone calls that are ever going to come unless you're
happen.
like unless you're not Pedro Acosta, you're not getting a phone call. You've got to be knocking on doors, and I think that's really good to hear and to say to the younger generation, these Twins Cup and whatever, that you got to fight for it.
Yeah. You if you want stuff done, you got to go make it happen. Like people aren't going to pick up the phone and see what you're doing. You gotta do it the other way around. You know.
At this point, you didn't have a manager, right? So you work with Zemke now.
Yeah, work with Zemke now. So at that point, I was just still by myself.
Calling down on yourself.
Yeah.
Did you have? I don't even think now you have many like personal deals or anything like that. But were you kind of grinding, trying to find stuff like that as well? Because I don't know what your deal was like for that Superbike year. Or like I think you had to have been making a little bit or something, or some travel or whatever.
I mean, like if I didn't win the last race of the year at Alabama in the rain, I would have been 12 grand out of my own pocket to go racing that year. So
it would have cost you money again.
It would have cost me money, but obviously ride was free, but it would have cost me money.
It's so insane though. That's like
yeah. So thank God for that rain race in Alabama. Otherwise, I mean.
And you had podiums and this, that, and the other. And it was still going to cost you money. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean the podium bonuses weren't much at all, you know. And I think I finished third in the championship that year, and I mean I got a lot of third and seconds, and if it wasn't for that win, I would have been out of my own pocket to go racing. But, you know, one thing that I do struggle with is, like, I can go knock on people's door and ask for rides. But, like, in terms of marketing myself and asking for sponsorship, I ain't that good at it. It's something I need to work on for sure. So, like, even that whole year, I had Haggerty was still kind of stuck around with me, but that was it, you know. And I wasn't knocking on people's doors like, hey, can I get a little bit of money here and a helmet deal and this and that. I just wasn't doing it.
And why do you think that is?
I don't know. Like, I hate asking for stuff, you know, like even with Alpine Star and Chris, like, dude, it's taken me a few years to get some merch because, like,
just hang out with this guy. Jesus Christ, this guy got a fucking box a week showing up at his house.
Oh yeah. I need to get some lessons,
dude.
This guy's got
this whole set.
He's got a mountain bike kit. He doesn't have a mountain
Let
bike.
me just say right now, this whole segment's cut. I can't have you fucking down me like that. Fucking dog.
This guy is the king, dude.
Hey, good, dude. I need to take some lessons because I just.
What size are you?
Yeah, I just hate asking for stuff, you know.
Yeah,
it's like
I think that's I think as soon as people change their perspective as it being asking to selling is a big shift, you know. And I think even for me, like that was a difference in like the year we started doing stuff together in flat track in 2019. It was more asking.
Yeah.
It was like, I've got nothing. Yeah. I suck at this. Can you help me out? Where, you know, then you start to get some results and whatever the case is, then you start to realize like, oh wow, like I'm a product.
I think I still did feel like that at the time, even in 21. Like I still feel like I hadn't shown enough to be able to give those investors any return, you know. So I think like now I do feel a little bit different about the stuff. Like my social media's following's a little bit bigger and MotoAmerica's bigger. We getting results. So like now I feel a little bit different. But yeah, at the time I was just like, I was scared to ask people for stuff.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are. I think it's really interesting. We talk about it with a few different guys, especially like Heron, who's really good at it. Obviously, he's got no shame in his game.
Yeah.
there's a lot of missed opportunity though.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm sure even guys like yourself, you got a whole country behind you back home that's still wanting to see you do extremely well. Like just watch that YouTube video last night you did with I think a podcast with somebody from South Africa, right?
Yeah.
But like,
Was it
you know,
the Rob Portman one?
Yeah, but you look at all the comments and it's just people who are just stoked to see a South African here.
Yeah.
You know?
No, they that's one thing with the South Africans, they absolutely love it, but missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of people for all of us that are willing to help us. We just gotta make it happen.
Yeah, it's a lot of it. There's a lot of that's kind of, I think, the biggest thing that you know, James has always been good at it because he's his dad's a salesman more or less, you know.
Big Phil, Big Phil grew up with just marketing, you know, like he got me all, like I did Danny Walker Scoop 100 times, or school, like American Super Camp. He always knew how to get me to the right people because he wasn't the guy for teaching me. Like he's from first generation, you know, he was just a weekend warrior guy, and you know, but he did teach me, dude. At 10 years old, I remember calling Rod Lake and calling Motion Pro and like starting those conversations. I was scared shitless. I used to have a piece of paper, and I used to just be like
shaking.
Like I
still get like that.
Dude,
like
I used to put the number in and go cancel. But dude, it taught me how to you know, and start those relationships. And now it's just like everything, like this whole, he taught me that if you're a salesman, you'll never be without a job.
Yeah.
And that's something I've taken for.
And you've got that outgoing personality. Like it suits you good. Where with me, I mean, if it wasn't for American Supercamp, I probably still would have been the shyest kid around. Like I didn't talk, dude. I was like super in my shell, and Danny Walker brought that out of me. Like he would make me stand up in front of 30 people and give the speech. So
that's awesome.
Skills.
Yeah, no, but I do think I think for the kids at home, pay attention.
Well, it's not like it's just tough because you've got to have something. You got to have ROI. Like you can't just sell anything, but you also need, like, the biggest thing is you got to be able to have an in somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's always those people want to help.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a way of asking in a way that when you're young, that it's more help and you're not selling, you know, because you don't really have much to sell, but you have an idea to sell.
Yeah.
And then as you get more and more results, you can sell that idea bigger, and then have some ROI to be able to push on that. And I think kids, they kind of get miscued of, I need to sell myself, but you don't have anything to sell. Right. So I think it's like you need to sell the idea of you know, it's like a startup.
Yeah.
Like essentially you're a startup company as a kid, and you need to have people buy into that.
An investment.
You're an investment, and you're a good kid, and that's what you're selling to these people, and you're going to help other kids.
It's a massive, honestly, like you're right. Like the kids listening, it's marketing yourself and going about it the right way is massive.
Yeah.
That can get you all the opportunity you ever need. You know?
I think now, especially more than ever, you see it because there are people who are in places that maybe didn't go through what you went through to get to where you got, but they were more focused on that, and they don't even have to get results.
No,
you know, there's
no,
a lot
that's
of people in the world
Yeah.
who are like that,
Yeah.
that are racing, that are
Yeah.
like, why do you still have an opportunity?
Yeah.
But when you dig into it a little bit, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
And it only takes, like, the biggest thing is it only takes one person to like you.
That's it.
It's only, that's what people don't understand. It only takes one person that knows one person, and then you either have a ride or you have enough money, and to do something or get an opportunity, because somebody has the influence over somebody else.
Right.
So I think it's super. I think it all goes back to that never giving up.
Yeah.
And just pick up the phone. You know, there's so many times where I've called Tom, you know, Chuck, those guys, you know, Chris Ulrich, and just no. Every year.
Yeah.
For like
happened to me
10 fucking years.
You know, at the end of the day though, it's like your name's still in their head though. Like even if you get turned down, you still got to do that stuff because they're still going to be thinking about you at some point.
Yeah.
But if you never do it, exactly.
There's so many deals that so many, you know, team owners, sorry to harp on this, but so many team owners that I've talked to, and they're like astonished that the calls they don't get.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what I mean? You bring up a name that you're like a shoe and be like, oh yeah, you never called.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you never called him? No. And it's like an ego thing.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I mean,
it's crazy.
Not that long ago, somebody in the paddock same. They were like, something happened with, I can't remember who it was, somebody on a Yamaha, and same, you know, like playing Xbox with them actually, and this is bullshit. Like Yamaha, I've been with them for so long, they didn't even phone me to see if I wanted to do it. I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. If you're not phoning them, they're not going to phone you.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So
No, it is true, and it takes a little bit of balls to do it. But
it does.
That's one thing I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Like I don't call people.
dude, no, I like
You just have
I'm
to
so
know,
bad,
like,
yeah.
dude, okay, it's a no. Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're embarrassed?
It's
Who
like
gives a fuck?
me and Troy Lee have a great relationship. Like we've hung out a bunch, but still, when I see his name pop up on my phone, I literally like,
Yeah,
it's Troy.
I think
dude.
anyway, that's so sick though. Troy Lee's got to be like the sickest
Yeah,
deal.
I've had
he's so
one
rad.
helmet done by Troy, and I still have it. It was my one monster helmet when I was with AGV, and it was it was simple, but it was just, dude, I still have it. It's got the Troy Lee, like his initials, and I'm like, it's just, dude, an icon. And I think it's pretty cool that you've been with him for a long time.
For a while, yeah, since
How did you meet him?
he's my wife's godfather. So my father-in-law, him are
No way.
best friends. So yeah, I just got to meet him with him, and Troy's been wanting to get into road race stuff for a long time. So I think it was just like it just so happened, and you know, Troy kind of, he said it, but he kind of thinks of us as family, and he's like, you got to take care of the family. So yeah, it's pretty cool how it happened, and yeah, I'm pretty grateful and stoked that I get to work with a guy like that.
Do you get to give him any inspiration, or you just give him helmets and go, dude, whatever?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, dude, it's hard with Troy. You know, like even when we sit down, because I've sat down with him to design. Like he has his sheet and draws out the helmet and starts designing. And he's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. Like me giving you advice on how to design a helmet, just it doesn't seem right." And I was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm just like, dude, whatever you have in mind, fucking run with it, and I'm sure it will turn out sick.
You have a replica that just came out with him.
Yeah, crazy. So, Troy got a company bought into him to ride. They do Nolan, Shark, some leather company. I can't remember what it's called. And their whole deal was like, hey, if when we buy into the company, the whole deal is you need to try get into road racing, do something. And Troy was going to make his own helmet, but you know the amount of money and R&D and everything that goes into that. He was like, well, can we just brand a Shark helmet, Troy Lee Designs, and take it from there? And they were like, oh yeah. And he just pushed for me to get a replica. He's like, when we do this thing, Campy's going to have a replica. And yeah, shit, they did it.
That's so
They did
sick.
it. It's crazy. Yeah.
So that deal was actually more through Troy, not because of like Jake or management kind of thing.
I mean, you know, Jake had something to do with negotiation of money and contract, but like that whole deal was actually through Troy.
That's so
Through
sick.
Troy, yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
sick. Now, and because you're really one of the only few guys we've talked to so far, besides for Heron, who's really had a manager, what is that? How does that relationship work?
It's tough. Honestly, like, I'm going to be truthful here, and it's tough because Jake's got Jiggy Dog and Cambodia. So it's like,
I know we talk about this all the time.
you know,
how
it's
do
like how, who, I know he's got a favorite, you know, like I know you got a favorite, and it's like, who's he going to put in front of the other guy? And so it is a touchy situation. But it's nice to kind of have a little bit of peace of mind when it comes to that stuff and contract negotiation. Because honestly, if I had done this all myself, like I did, me and Tom Halverson were speaking a long time before I signed with Wasserman and all that. So, but when it came down to negotiating of the contract and all that, like Jake deals with it, because, you know, those, honestly, even with the helmet deal, they could have been like, here's $5,000. I would have been like, sweet, dude, I'm stoked, you know. But Jake's like, no, it doesn't work that way. So having him on my side for that part is pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of a touchy
Because you
situation.
don't know what you
with
don't
Cam.
know, right?
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what you, like, if you've never been in it.
And again, like, I hate asking for stuff. So, you know, I'm not going to be the guy that's like, all right, give me $50,000, and then they're like, no, 30, and like,
yeah, and
just
then
that
royalties,
yeah,
like a split, or like there's different programs that you can run, and that you got to run the math. And
yeah, I just hate asking for stuff. So like having Jay-Z on board and dealing with all that stuff away from the racetrack's been like, gives me a little bit of peace of mind. And I mean, he helps me at the racetrack, you know, obviously. And I totally get it. Cam B is his boy. I completely get it. He's been with Cam for a very long time, but you know, he still comes into our rig, helps us out a little bit with the mental side, some riding stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Now, so you signed. Jake works for Wasserman, which Wasserman's like a massive media group that manages actors and all kinds of stuff, right? So, are they out like seeking new stuff for you? That's why I was asking about the Shark deal and the Troy Lee deal, because I thought maybe that actually went through them. Like Shark called up Wasserman or Jake and was like, "Hey, we need a guy." Or is it more like you got to go out and find the deals and you just bring them in and you kind of pass it off?
Which kind of sucks because I do the deals and then they just take all the.
That's what I was curious.
Yeah, I think it's a touchy one for everyone.
No, it is super touchy and
you're basically paying for
you know,
it.
But you got to commit to, if you're going
Yeah.
to do it, you got to commit.
and that, you know, who knows, I might get in trouble for this, but like it is tough because, you know, other than the negotiation of the contracts, they haven't really gone out to like find stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but like when it comes to Alpine Star, I let Jake know. I was like, if I could get into A Stars, like that's my dream. He made that happen. So he has done some stuff for me, but you know, there's been some stuff even with bicycles, like, and then a few months go by, a few months, keep asking, and eventually I'm like, I'm just gonna go buy my own.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
It's
I can
tough.
imagine. Could you, if you can or don't want to, it's fine. But like, if say you brought in $100,000, how much of that's gone? It's like a pretty big chunk.
It's a decent chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, I think, especially in our sport, because there's
Yeah.
just not a lot of pie
Yeah.
to go around. So
Yeah.
you're cutting up
No.
pieces of the
But
pie, and it's
Yeah.
like
I
you gotta pay
also-
taxes, you gotta pay.
Exactly, dude.
But I think about this though, like to flip it, right? Because I've only had one manager in my life, and it was very short lived, you know, and I struggle with it. And I think it's hard in America to have a manager, unless you come from Europe or whatever your situation. But imagine having, like, when I first got to Monster, just waving Monster around, I could get anything.
Right.
Right now,
Right.
you've got the WASP group. You can pretty much like raise your price no matter what, because the WASP group, you know that at any given time, none of your deals are falling apart because they have lawyers on staff.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's one thing, like I said, peace of mind, just knowing
Dude.
that I'm
Yeah.
probably always going to be okay.
your contracts you're never getting fucked.
No.
Like,
No.
that's the one thing I think
Yeah.
that's kind of really cool about the manager and having the WASP group specifically is, you know, like I've been in some situations where mentally it's been tough, where you don't feel good because you're getting the brunt of like maybe somebody not wanting you there on the team. Your deal's not getting redone, but you're like have a contract. It's kind of a weird
Yeah.
deal, and there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
buffer.
You're right. Right.
You know?
No, like looking at it from that sense, like it's been massive having Jay-Z on my side, and you know, he has done a lot for me, but I think we could do more.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Now going into your time with Attack, obviously, what has that been like, stepping into a role where you're all of a sudden, you know, when you're a M4, you were kind of the guy on the team. You were the A rider, I guess, if you will. You're the one getting kind of the results. Then you step into being teammates with, you know, the guy who's dominating, which I you're best friends with him, whatever the case is, roommates in the past. I gotta imagine still though that's quite tough to kind of step into a shadow in a way. I'm sure the team does a really good job at trying to make it not feel that way, but mentally,
Team do a great job at like, but mentally, like, you know, you're there, you're the B rider, you're the second guy, but at the same time, I feel like it's fueled my fire to not be that guy, and that's something we've worked on big time this year. Is like, I'm not going to be the second rider. You know, I at least want to be on a level playing field with Jake, and I want the team to look at me to be like, okay, he's got just as much of a chance at winning this thing as Jake does. So that's something we've worked on a lot this year, but yeah, it is tough because like that the whole first year in the team, they were trying to get me to ride like Jake, and they're like, well, Jake's doing this and that, so we're gonna do this and that, and it wasn't until I can't remember where it was. It was a few races towards the end where Richard was like, okay, you know what, we're just gonna try to do our own thing, and boom, like pace increased. I was a lot closer to Jake, got a bunch of seconds like after we did that. So I think they realized that like we can't do everything that Jake's doing. And that's slowly gotten better year by year. And like we're on year 3 now, and I feel like there has been a little bit of a shift in mentality to try get me to a level playing field with Jake. And obviously our bikes, everything's exactly the same. But yeah, just try focus on my side of the program a little bit more instead of, trying to copy what JG's doing the whole time, because we ride so different.
I think that's even something like Bobby said, when he first jumped on an attack bike and, trying to ride it like Jake, and he couldn't wrap his head around it, and it took him a minute as well. What is specifically that is the difference between you and Jake? Like, obviously he picks the bike up crazy amount, and his lower body is pretty hung off a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Like, even just in passing, he's like, dude, at all costs, he's got a drag knee.
Yeah. Dude, he gets his knee down so early. Like, when I ride behind him, I'm like, his knee's down on the ground, and I'm still, like, tipping in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Jake, JG rides, like, he makes a lot of his time up on the exit of the corner, like, mid to exit. He makes up a lot of the time. Like you said, he uses the shit out of that rear tire. Like, he knows how to make the most out of it. And where I'm a very front end feel guy, and so typically like chassis wise stuff, steering head angles, and we typically kind of the same, but I normally run a lot stiffer springs than him, and then just like some EB stuff is like I kind of like the thing to back in a little bit, and so those are the main differences. But for sure, like corner exit, mid to exit, Jake's just, and dude, I get to look at the data every single day, like after every session. I'm just like, how is he getting to 100% throttle? That like how? Like it doesn't I can't comprehend in my brain. I'm just like, and again, I think I just need to trust the bike a little bit more, because they're so good. I know the thing's not going to throw me to the moon, but it's tough, dude.
That's what they say about the electronics of that thing, and how you are able to do that, which is hard to get your head around.
Yeah, the electronics are, I think, like, Richard was even telling me when factory Yamaha went away and Attack picked it up, and they went and did the first test with Cam, and they had the factory bike and then Richard's bike, and Cam apparently was just like, dude, the electronics on this thing are next level.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the difference from there?
I think just with like how predictable the thing is, and like the stuff you can get away with.
The system, though, I mean, was the same, or there's a different system?
I think it was both Morelli. I think system, just Richard's brain and the way he does things is just like, he's got such a good handle on those electronics. Him and Marshall, and it's crazy the stuff you can get away with.
Yeah, you could see that. Do you think, because last year I think it was, Dunlop introduced kind of the new tires, right? And it seemed like maybe some of Jake's advantage got taken away a little bit because the new tire is a little more flat and is more equal for everyone, so you don't need to get up off the other. Do you feel like that's the same?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you could definitely see there was a little bit of a change in sort of like where he would make his time, I'd make my time. You could see there was a bit of a change there. And honestly, I think you can see we're still trying to work it out and find the best way forward with those tires and the bike.
When you went from the Suzuki Superbike to Yamaha Superbike, obviously it's really your only true Superbike experience in this current spec. You rode the Honda, but how much different was that?
It was huge. Like the Suzuki's got a really good front end. I thought it had a great front end, but the thing was angry. I just remember just thing would pump and huck and buck everywhere.
Don't ride a BMW.
The same thing. So yeah, I just remember the Suzuki being angry, but it was quick out the blocks, like good out the corners, and then getting on the Yamaha is just like everything's so smooth. It turns so good. It does everything so good.
Was it like when you're watching? I'm sure you felt the same, like watching Jake from Super Stocky or whatever. You kind of like that bike's got a little bit like magic dust on it.
Yeah.
Was that the case? Like you got on it and it was like instantly like, okay, this is why it's so much
straight away
more feasible to go that fast. Yeah, right away.
Straight away. I mean, I think our first test, I was like, close to 2 seconds quicker than I'd ever been on any other bike at Buttonwillow.
Wow.
Like it
That's
was
insane.
like, it was like straight away I felt it. It just gives you so much confidence, and like it does everything so good.
Doesn't that kind of like, I mean, you're in the position now where it's a great thing for you, but isn't that kind of disheartening to like know, you know, what you were battling against for so long?
Yeah. I mean, like honestly, like when I got on the bike, I was like, dude, no wonder why no one else can win. You know? like
Yeah.
this is crazy. But you know, like the last 2 years, things are kind of changing. Like everybody's catching up, and those Dukes and Beamers look good out there.
Yeah, no, they do for sure. Do you think, just your perspective on Jake, but do you think, what do you think the reason for that is, where he hasn't been able to continue? Do you think it is a lot in the tires and him losing a little bit of disadvantage? Do you think it's some of the pressure of having like Cam coming back in and doing things he's doing?
Yeah, I think. I mean, honestly, I don't know if Jake feels pressure, to be honest.
Really?
Like, yeah, he's, and if he does, he hides it really, really well. But I think it's just an adjustment of the new tires, and then especially this year, like Richard's done a lot with the bikes. They're almost completely, like we sit in a different spot. They're almost completely different. So I think we're still trying to find a good base setting and get around that. But I think with the direction that we have been going or trying to go, I just don't think our tires will let us
That's
make that
insane.
happen.
When you're like at the top dominating, and then you make a drastic change like that. Like,
Yeah, does that come from you guys?
No,
That's just
but
him looking at the drawing board.
that's what I like Richard. Like he's always making things better. Like that guy does not stop working. It's crazy. And like his machines at the shop are just working 24/7, and it's insane. And he just knows that there's always something better. You can always do something better, and like Richard does look at a lot of stuff with a science point of view.
Yeah.
So like he experiments a lot with that side of thing.
Is that difficult to like, I don't know, like if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of deal? Like you show up to the first test, to the first race, and you're like a little bit slower than you were last year, and you're like,
Yeah.
dog, you fucked up.
obviously you're not going to tell him that, but
No, I mean, I think we're dealing with it a little bit this year. You know, it's
Really?
Now we have so much adjustment with everything that it's like we actually just had this conversation 2 days ago. We got on a Zoom call and had a little meeting before and it's just like every time we get on the bike, it's so different. It's hard to get used to, you know, and you know, like not most cases, but some cases, if we're struggling with something on a bike, make small changes here and there, and then we
Eventually
as
can
riders
adapt.
like we can adapt
Yeah.
and figure it out. Where now it's just been like there's just so many different things thrown at the bike that every time we get on the bike, it's different. So that's I think that's why you see us like our last 2 Fridays have been
yeah.
pretty bad.
And like and FP1 is arguably probably the #1 session you need to be fast in.
Yeah,
Like to start your weekend
yeah,
on the
because then you're
front,
playing catch up,
like,
right?
dude, it's gnarly.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you talk about what happened at Road America?
In the race or just
the technical stuff that kind of went on?
yeah. I don't know why Road America doesn't like us.
Does he like do something a little different, like a little extra sauce, and that's why, like trying to?
Yeah, I think he just tries to, because you know, typically on the fueling side of things, he runs it on the more lenient side of things, like gives the engine some room so that we don't have those issues. And but honestly, like what happened in the second race was because of my crash. So I crashed in qualifying, which is weird. You know, I still made it through race 1 and everything, but one of the steel oil lines from the motor had a crack in it, and eventually that thing just went and put oil everywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, he definitely does try find a little bit extra for Road America.
Yeah.
And again, same, like we went there with this new setup that we had been trying in preseason testing, and we were just like, dude, we can't ride it. It was the same at Alabama on Friday. Like at the end of the Friday, we were just like, we can't make this happen. Like the bikes just don't want to turn.
And did you know that at the tests? Like, or
No,
did the tests go good? And then
no, and that's the thing. It's like even with the bike now, it doesn't do anything crazy. Like it's stable, but like when you need to find that little bit extra, it's just you can't make it happen. It just doesn't happen. And at Podium Club, the track we test at, grip's insane there. So I think that helped out a little bit, like just having that feeling of being able to throw the thing on its side and it turns, where most of the tracks we go to, grip isn't great. Obviously, there's new surfaces now, which is better, but yeah, I just don't think the tires allow us to do what we want to do with the bikes, because I mean, he's trying to make them as close to MotoGP as possible, you know, but I just don't think our tracks and tires will let us.
So that's where his mindset is. That's what he's like, kind of looking at what they're doing over there and seeing how he can. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
because if you can make it work, I mean, like,
and that's his whole thing is like,
if
you can make it work, but he's pretty convinced that he can make it work. Yeah. But I think it's just going to take a lot more time.
Yeah, and
that's kind of the conversation we had. I was like, listen, if we need to make our mind up if we're going to stick to something similar to last year, or if we're gonna stick to this whole new setup that we have. We can't go back and forth the whole time. You know, we might struggle for a little bit, but we got to keep on this trajectory to try make it better. But
it's always tough because the race weekends, everybody's fighting for, and like you said, it's not like a couple years ago when you guys had a second in the bag,
right?
When you could like, it's all good. We'll just come out, boom. You know what I mean? It's now it's like, dude, you're sixth, seventh. Like, I mean, dude,
you're not even. We were 9th and 10th at the end of Friday.
You're not even. You're in the top fucking 5.
You're watching it. You're like, well, they must just be kind of just trying something new, you know?
Well, it's just weird. I remember looking on, and I'm like, dude, blue bikes are not there. I'm like, everyone's just like, oh, dude, BMW's fast in a straight line.
I mean, it is, but and then I mean, even Alabama, I think we were 6th and 7th at the end of the first day, and it's like, But I mean, like you said, the class is so stacked this year that maybe 2 years ago that 6th and 7th would have been 2nd and 3rd, or 3rd and 4th.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you enjoy now that there's, you know, obviously nobody enjoys getting beat, but do you enjoy the competition?
I think it's better, you know, and it's better for everybody, and I think it's just going to level up our game. Having that competition and having everybody so close and so fast, I think it's going to make racing in America pretty damn good. And I think it's like, if it continues to go this way, I think you're going to see a lot more Americans go to Europe and actually be successful and be able to compete.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think it raises the rider market. You know, like
absolutely.
Having more bikes capable of winning, you get more people want to come, more demand equals more money.
I mean, you see it this year, like the amount of guys that are actually getting paid and making a decent amount, you know, it's like,
it's good.
More than I've ever seen.
Yeah, especially in Superbike.
Yeah.
It's always been the blue bike.
Yeah, yeah.
Are there any guys in there that you don't necessarily enjoy riding around? Just put you on the spot?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for the most part, everybody.
Because you got the battle with, I'm only asking is like you battled with Danilo quite a bit that year and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, it's like when we get the Europeans coming over, it's like the first year with Baz, it was me and obviously Jake smoked us, so it was me and Maddie racing against Baz, and we just got into so many battles. And like, I remember Baz hitting me at Virginia, and he hit me so hard my airbag went off, and his wing got stuck in my suit, and we had a lot of those that year. So did
you like tag team them, like you and freaking Maddie a couple times? At the end of the races, you're like Pepe Le bitch.
Like, so I mean, like, I know Baz didn't like us for sure. Like, he did not like us. I mean, I remember, I think he said something to Paul about the prize giving. He's like, I'm not going to go watch 2 South Africans get fucking trophies, you know? And then same with Danilo. Like, for whatever reason, we just always ended up racing together. We didn't like each other. I mean, you saw him and Matthew, like, did not like each other, dude. Yeah. I think Matthew is the common denominator. I think
it might be.
But yeah, I mean, like, so I think those are probably the only 2 guys that I've ever been like, I don't really like riding around them. More Baz than Petrucci, just because I feel like Petrucci did have some respect. And I think Baz is better this year. You know, I think I think he came back and realized the whole situation. Like, America's no joke. But yeah, that first year for sure, like, dude, I was ready to
throw down.
I think Danilo really put perspective of it's not just a cakewalk over here.
No,
like, he was on a great bike. He had full support. And, like, I mean, he went toe-to-toe with some dogs. And
America is the real deal.
I think everybody realized, okay, maybe it's not just...
Me and my dad talk about this all the time. And, like, I know some people might think this is far-fetched or whatever, but I think you bring Mark Marquez or Bagnaia here on our bikes on these tracks, they're going to be hard to beat, but they're not going to smoke us. I promise you, like, they're going to get beat at certain times. Like, America's no joke, and it's just all got to do with opportunity and us being able to get over there from somewhat of a young age and being exposed to that whole side of things. I think that's the big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, look at BSB, dude. Like, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, BSB for sure.
It's so gnarly.
Yeah.
You know, I think you take some of those guys here and we go there. I think
thing.
it's just all
Same
like
thing. Yeah.
where you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I remember rolling on pit lane first time BSB and just getting fucking absolutely my front end sawed off by Alistair Seeley, going like, okay, like,
Well, yeah, welcome, dude.
like get fucked.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough.
Touching on your dad just one last time on that. Your dad's obviously a crew chief, so he's super in touch, like technically with bikes and that kind of thing. How do you feel as a rider, like setup wise? Like I know even me just now, like where I'm at after all these years, I'm finally at the point where like I kind of feel like I know confidently what I want out of the bike. Do you feel like you got a lot from your dad's experience that has helped you with that, or?
Honestly, like my dad helped me out too much to the point where I didn't really have like independence. Not that he wouldn't let me, but my dad's so clued up and has such a good eye for those kind of things. Like I'll just always rely on my dad, and
he just
and
made
even
the
like he would be watching at home on the TV if I was somewhere and he had to stay at home, and I'd phone him. I'd be like, hey, what do you think? He's like, well, the bike looks like it's doing this in this corner, and then I'd go tell that to the crew chief. So it's literally only taken me like since 2020, 21, I think was the first time where I really started to dig in and like pay attention to what I like, what the differences on the bike does. So, but I feel like maybe now I'm in that spot where I kind of know what I need, what I don't need.
Yeah, I think that in itself is a little bit confidence inspiring, because when you're not having a good weekend, you know, it's like there's something bigger going on, and I'm confident enough to know that I know what I need, that I can go back and say like there's something wrong with the bike. We need a direction change.
Yeah, 100%, and it's a nice feeling. It really is a nice feeling.
It is also nice to feel that you can dig out of it by yourself. Like Colin, I mean, I totally can sympathize with that. Like having that little bit of a crutch it's good in the beginning, but it's almost somewhat detrimental towards the end of having, you know, you always second guess. Like, is this right?
Yeah.
And you just want that confirmation, and to like kind of rip that Band-Aid off is something that's needed, you know, and
makes you grow big time as a racer. Like being able to give good feedback, understand what the rebound, compression, like understanding what all that stuff does. Not that you have to come in and be like, hey, give me 2 clicks here, and like, you know, you just give the feedback, but understanding of what that stuff does to the bike is massive.
And then trusting your crew chief over.
Trust is a big thing.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize how much trust is like really into the relationship with your crew chief, and having that almost him just say, dude, you're good, you got it. Like, this is the bike.
Yeah.
You can find the 3/10 is so much than just like always having to change.
Yep.
You know, and having that trust in your crew chief is just even being able to tell you, hey, dude, bro, you just got to sack up, or, you know, like whatever it is.
It's massive. It really is having that trust. And like you said, like if your crew chief tells you to do something, going and actually going and doing it it's a big part of the game.
Yeah.
What went on with your deal that's like going over the winter? I don't think a lot of people know kind of just how in depth like recovering from that surgery was, and it was kind of a struggle for you, right?
Serious it was, because you were out for a long time last year.
Yeah. It's you know, I'm probably still only at like 60% recovery right now.
Really?
Holy smokes.
Yeah. It's not a lot of people know, dude, but like it was almost done. Like I wasn't going to be able to race a motorcycle again, and even at all my preseason testing, 2-3 laps at a time, I would come in and just like, no way I can ride.
Because
and then
of pain, or just like
pain, like just pain and like no grip, nothing. I mean, my forearm's still pretty small. Like it's slowly coming back. But yeah, so they ended up just taking a whole row of bone out, like the whole scaphoid side, and I guess when they opened it up, it was just so bad to the point where like, let's just take it all out. So yeah, they ended up taking all that row of bone out, and it's been a struggle. But like finally now I'm kind of able to do laps without really noticing it. But you know, even at Road America race 1 in the rain, came out of turn 3 and hit a little patch, and dude, for the rest of the weekend I was in serious pain.
Really?
Yeah.
And so what is like what is the like the last 40, what are you waiting for? Is it like the bones got to grow? Like obviously they took stuff out.
I think just some strength stuff, because like I'll still get into certain positions and I feel the pain, and it just doesn't feel very strong. So I think still just waiting for some of that grip strength to come back. The mobility is better than it's ever been. Like it's still not great.
Better than pre-surgery?
Yeah. But I've got a lot more of this side to side. You know, before my wrist was pretty locked in. So especially going around right-handers, you know, like I had to have my arm all tucked in. It was super hard to get on the gas. And, you know, we had a throttle set up on the bike where 60% was 100% because like I couldn't get on the gas. And then it made everything else like a lot more touchy. And so...
And this all stemmed from scaphoid.
Yeah, from 11 years ago, whenever I did it, like I've had so many surgeries on this thing, and
is it because you not let it heal? What's the deal?
Yeah, when I broke it the first time, I thought I just sprained my wrist. I was like, oh, it's just sore, you know. And then 6 months went by, and the thing was still bad, and so the bone died. It just completely died, and then they tried to screw a bunch of times, and the one half of the bone just kept breaking and like wouldn't take the screw. So they did a whole bunch, and so yeah, just that stupid tiny little bone just created much issues.
Like Nicky, right?
Nicky had it, yeah,
and he had to fuse, and he had to do a lot of this,
yeah.
Like, and that's kind of where you're at. So
yeah, and that's why I feel like I'm only just getting started, to be honest. Like, you know, I've kind of dealt with a lot of this shit in the past, and I'm still getting used to this new wrist, and I'm still not 100%. So I really do feel like I'm just getting started.
Do you think going through that 2017, all of that bad shit helped you through all of last year?
For sure, dude.
Like,
for sure. Like,
just to be...
Yeah. 100%. Like what I went through in 17, like I just know like feeling sorry for yourself, and like all of that just doesn't help. You just got to put in the work, put your head down, and like make stuff happen. So for sure that's what I was doing last year. And dude, I mean, I've spent so much money on rehab on this thing. It's crazy. Like I'm literally trying to do everything I possibly can to make sure I still have a career out of this. But
that's gnarly. So there's a point though where you're looking at like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't ride my bicycle down the street. I couldn't do, and this was not that long ago.
Yeah. Because you're what, like 8 months out of surgery now?
10, almost 11.
Wow. Okay.
Almost 11. So 10 months. Yeah.
So and then, because I remember you telling me at Laguna last year that, hey, I don't know when you had the surgery, but you were
just after Laguna.
Just after, yeah. So you're saying that you had a lady that was she knew. Was it a female?
Yeah, Dr. Yi. Yeah,
okay, she was gonna be able to, and you're gonna have no pain, and so like that's kind of crazy that you're here, and like it was. I don't think people realize how serious it was and how
serious it is.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Like, and how good you are with it, like.
I mean, I just didn't talk about it enough, and even in like the pressurized stuff, like they ask me questions and just kind of like, oh, no big deal, you know. But
is that because you try to downplay it? Like, how does it? I guess
I don't know. I just don't want.
Like, I mean, that's got to be weird too, because you're almost.
Well, I didn't want to give the team any ammunition to be like, hey, this guy's damaged goods. You know, he's like, we can't. So like, just telling the team the whole time, like, dude, I'm good. Like, we're gonna make it happen. It was tough, but also like, I don't want. It's not that I don't want people to know. It's just I don't want all the questions and the all the stuff afterwards. Like, I just wanted to. People that I care about know about it. They know what's going on. The people that should know how bad it is, and then everything else is just like, is what it is.
Yeah. That's the shitty part about our sport. Like you like play baseball, basketball, whatever, and it's like as soon as something happens, like they have a little bit of a pain in their side, it's like all over the news, and it's okay, they're out for 2 weeks, no big deal, like they'll be back. Like in our sport, it's like, oh fuck, if he's hurt, you know, is he gonna come back? What is he gonna be like when he gets back?
Yeah.
Maybe we should look for
And
somebody else.
there's a guy,
you know?
and there's a
There's
guy
a
in left
line of
wing.
guys.
There's a guy in left wing waiting to hop
Yeah.
on your bike.
There's
Yeah.
a guy. There's a guy here this weekend with leathers waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
know, ambulance
Brutal.
chasing.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
I think we ride through a lot more than probably people would think that. Just so that,
absolutely.
and you hide. I think we hide a lot. My shoulder I hid for a long, long time
Yeah.
before I got
Yeah.
surgery and stuff like that, and because you're so afraid of them going,
damaged goods.
you can't miss
Yeah.
the opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. And especially in this paddock, like, dude, you get forgotten about so quickly that it's like if you don't show up, and that's why even last year, like, I made a point to fly to every race, even after my surgery. Like,
Yeah,
I wasn't going to be forgotten about.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to see my face, and I'm going to be around here. So
And how was it mentally? Like, did you get reassurances that you were good? Like, or was it touch and go?
No, it was good. Like, honestly, me coming to the races last year was good, and Tom and Richard, everybody was on the same point. And honestly, because like the way I re-injured my wrist, like it wasn't too bad until after Alabama, and the experimental stuff that was going on the bike had nothing to do with my fault. So like, I feel like there was almost like a bit of ownership. Like, damn, we owe this guy at least one
Yeah.
more year in the
Okay.
contract, So no, it was all good.
That's
It was all
cool
good.
because you don't hear that. Usually it's savage. Imagine having Pit Byrer being you'd be fucking
I will say, dude, Yamaha as a corporation are
amazing.
they're amazing. They
A lot
are
of people say that.
absolutely amazing. Just like family people, super loyal. Yeah, it's something you don't see. It's pretty damn cool.
What about seeing JD do really well on your bike? Was that good or bad in a way? Like,
No.
obviously, it's probably good because it's helped him and you were reassured, but
Yeah.
also, like, it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's tough to see somebody
like,
win on your bike, dude.
you know
It's
what I
tough,
mean?
and like, especially because the beginning bit of that year when I was riding, like, I was quick, but I crashed a lot. I wasn't doing too much, and then, but no, dude, like, my whole mentality and like, yes, it sucked seeing JD win on my bike, but like, I'm stoked for my friends,
Yeah.
you know, and like that maybe it is one of my downfalls is that I do have a lot of friends in the paddock just because I hate hating people and like it's too much effort. So, but I truly get stoked for my friends. Like if they succeed, then I really am happy for them. And honestly, just knowing what JD had kind of gone through, obviously he had a killer flat track ride and like, but it was just cool to see like that was his opportunity to get back into road racing. So like I was stoked for him.
That's cool. That's really cool because I think everybody just thinks everyone's got rides everywhere, and like he's been around a long time. He's done amazing things in road racing and in dirt track, and he had his ankle injury that he came back from, and it was a kind of a dark place for him. And Dallas was doing really well, and to watch his kind of team, kind of like see ya. Like it's tough.
No, it's
You
tough.
know what I mean?
Going into this year, you said you work with a mental coach. Where did that come from? Why did you feel the need? Obviously, I assume you're going through some shit with your wrist and a little bit of stuff with that, but
Yeah. So Greg Arnold from Capit.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm working with him.
oh wow,
Yeah. So when you get to know Greg and his story, and there's a lot more to that man. He's very, very, very successful, very clever, and he's worked with a lot of big execs and stuff like that on their whole mental side of the thing. That's what he does. He studied for it for a long time. So he came to pretty much all of our preseason tests because we built that badass tire warmer box where our wheels and everything go in. So he was with us every single preseason test, and we just got to talking, and he's just one thing led to the next. He kind of he reached out to me and he's like, hey man, would you be open to doing this? And I was like, absolutely, and I went to a sports psychologist when I was pretty young, and same, like 13 years old. I was like, get me out of here. And now that I'm older, I get to understand things. Like, I just wish I'd done this sooner, because the tools he's given me on the mental side of things, and the confidence and the certainty and just everything that you need to be able to go perform, he's given me those tools to and at least to be able to be aware of of what's going on, and the stupid roommate that lives in your head that tells you otherwise, you know, like that side of things. It's dude, he's actually changed my life this year. Like even stuff away from the racetrack, it's so good. So good.
Is there one thing you could pick? Like, is there one thing that's just been?
Yeah, I think it's having that confidence in that certainty in your ability, you know, and just like knowing. I mean, everybody knows affirmations and manifesting and stuff like that, but there's certain way you have to go about it to like actually get the benefit from it. And I feel like that's kind of been the big part for me, and like being able to visualize things but actually believe it and know that I'm capable of doing it. It's kind of changed the game for me, honestly.
That's awesome.
And how does that? Is he giving you like exercises or like homework kind of thing? Like, or is it
yeah,
just
not
talking?
really. No, so like we hop on a call once a week, and he's got a PowerPoint presentation for me. Like
wow.
no, it's no joke. Like he does it, and I got a journal, and I've got my confidence bank, and I write like every day. I just write stuff that I can put into my confidence bank that I can just go back and read, and so like all of that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and it's just it's cool because like I look forward to our phone calls now. You know,
Yeah.
Like I don't think I really ever do that, but now like I'm like, yeah, let's hop
think-
on this call.
Yeah.
And
I think it's also like it's you have to like have some sort of humility to do
Yeah,
it, like
yeah,
because you
yeah,
think it's like, oh, it's dumb.
yeah,
Like, am I gonna write words on them?
Yeah.
You know, like I
Yeah.
think you have to really, if you don't buy into it, and people, you know, like I think if you make that step or whatever it is that you need to do, you make that step,
Yeah,
and you're
that's it.
like, you hear this like, dude, life changing, or it's not racing, it's just, dude,
Yeah,
your
it's
body
life.
of work,
Yeah,
your
everything.
life, you know, and
that's it. You just got to put your ego aside and have an open mind with stuff. You know, like it's so easy to get caught up with your ego and be like, you know, maybe I'm too good for that. When in reality, you're not. You're not too good for anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think just having an open mind and like putting your ego aside is. And it's a tough thing to do. As fucking men, like it's
Scary.
tough to put your ego
Well,
aside.
just in
and
general as a person, like to
Yeah.
open up to more or less a stranger.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah,
And hear yourself say the things that you think, right? Like actually, I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of it is just like
Yeah.
coming out with what you have,
yeah,
you know, voicing what you're actually thinking.
yeah, yeah.
Because everyone, you know, doubts themselves or
Yeah.
thinks about a lot of different things,
Well, and
but you
that's the
never
thing, it's like-
say it.
The person that like you as a person that sees and talks, like sometimes you're not the one making the decisions. It's that we call it the roommate. So your roommate in your head that kind of overrides that thing, and like that's been the biggest thing for me is like realizing when that voice comes in, get back into your room, dude. Like I'm in control, you know. Like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
sick.
do what I have to do.
that's
Yeah.
cool. That's
No,
really
it's
cool.
huge. I mean,
yeah,
I worked with someone in 21, I think it was. Yeah, after you beat me so bad, I had to go get a guy. No, but seriously, I mean, I felt like, you know, I feel like there's a lot on the table there, you know, and for sure, more than anything, just aware.
Yeah,
know, just being
That's
aware.
it, that's it.
education
Yeah.
on yourself and
Yeah.
education. Like I worked with somebody in 2017 after I had probably my worst year, and he's not in racing. He was just a guy that like he was essentially a chiropractor that was, you know, studied psychology, and like you fully just, you know, like I worked with a sports psychologist as well, and you just like it felt like it was out of a book.
Right.
Whereas this
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
more of an open conversation,
Yeah.
and it was like I just saw things different.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, what am I doing?
Right.
You know, and I still use that stuff today, and it's crazy.
Yeah. I think that's one of the cool things, like you say, it's like once you become aware, then like that will kind of never go away. I
No.
feel like.
Yeah, no,
You
for
just
sure.
learn. And you just run into those situations, and like from 2017 to working with this guy to now to like your wrist, like you probably wouldn't be able to even handle that. You probably just you know
Probably
like
not,
do
dude.
you know what I
Like,
mean?
yeah,
Like you get
yeah.
built in a way to be able to handle certain things. So
I think one of the other cool things is like you said, it's outside of, you know, you did it for racing, but
Right,
in the
yeah,
bigger picture,
yeah,
it's everything,
yeah.
you know. And I think also just, you know, when you start to unpack some of that stuff, you realize that it's like, you know, like I said, I'm doing this for racing because I want to be better at racing. That's like what motivated me to get here. But then you're like, oh shit, maybe there's like some other stuff
Yeah,
that I'm like
yeah.
overlooking as like
Yeah.
just a human being.
Yeah. 'Cause
Again,
life,
so
I mean,
life.
hate
Yeah.
to say it, but at the end of the day, life is bigger than racing.
Yeah,
Which
no,
is-
it is.
that's crazy. you know, I remember there was a time in my life when there wasn't.
Yeah.
Like it was I think
was there.
I said words like, if I couldn't race a motorcycle, I don't know if I want to live.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I was there with you.
and it's now I'm like, dude, there's so much cool shit.
Yeah.
Like I love coming to the races. I love racing. I love that. Like there's never that feeling of being on the limit, you know, for that long. Like there's nothing really I've ever felt like in any other part, but it's interesting to kind of understand that and to like there's
There's a lot
something
going out there,
especially when you kind of lose it a bit.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you go,
Yeah.
dude, let's enjoy this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because
And that's the main thing. Dude, is having fun.
Well, we're getting like pretty deep into it, so I want to just pivot a little bit into, you know, where you're at now in life. Obviously, kind of full circle from where you were living on Jake's couch to now being teammates with Jake, and you're married, right? And looking for places to live with your chick somewhere else other than California because it's too expensive. Like, if you could kind of summarize that in terms of like a feeling or whatever the case is, where are you at in life as a person, I guess?
Life is good at the moment. Yeah. And I mean, it's tough. Like I feel like I said, I feel like I'm just getting started, you know. So just honestly, with the way everything's going in life, I'm trying to take it all in, make the most out of it, and have fun with it. But at the same time, still trying to look into our future and take over our future, because we're not going to be doing this for forever. But honestly, right now, I'm just trying to ride the wave. You know, just try to ride the wave, and whatever life brings my way, then I'll deal with it. But I can't complain, man. Life is so damn good at the moment. Me and my wife are doing great. Our dog's awesome. You know, my sister's got a killer job. My mom's got an amazing job as well. So like, it's nice to see that.
You're racing against your dad.
Yo, my dad's Bobby's crew chief. Damn guy. I need to stop telling my dad stuff. No, and it's just cool to see like the family actually settle down, all have good jobs. Everybody's in a good position. My sister just bought a house. Like, so, no, honestly, just life in general at the moment is pretty damn sweet.
That's awesome. That is so cool to hear. And everybody's in America.
Yeah,
right?
Whole
So
family's
now
here.
this is
Like,
your home.
this is it.
Everybody's here.
This is it.
That's fucking rad.
Now, when you look forward, what does that look like? I mean, obviously, kind of where you're at, you have a pretty good home here in America. Do you have aspirations to obviously go to Europe and that kind of stuff, or is it that past?
I don't know. We'll see. Like, if I could make a career out of racing here in America for the rest of my life, then I'm more than happy doing that. But you know, I think I'm 29 years old now. I'm not that young. But if the opportunity does come up with the right team, right, whatever, I would like to go give a crack at a world championship somewhere, just to say I've done it. No, I'm honestly like I'm more than happy to, if they will have me, I'm more than happy to ride their Yamaha for the rest of my career.
Yeah, and so you're on the end of a 1 year right now.
Yeah. So it was just top 3 automatic renewal.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's like your immediate goal right now.
That's the goal, but you know, I'm kind of hoping already that I've shown them that I deserve to be on the team, I think, and like I got 2 wins this year, which is pretty much doubled my Superbike tally already in 1 year, and like
one in the wet, one in the dry. Which is huge.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's the goal is this year, just keep chipping away at it. I know, like, if I do everything the way I should do, I know I'll be in the battle somewhere. And then, hopefully I get that contract at the end of the year.
But does the team look at, like, obviously Jake's been a dominating force in that team for a long time now. Now, I don't want to say things have shifted because Jake Gagne's always going to dominate, but, like, he's had a little bit of, up and down year, not normal to Jake Gagne. Have you kind of been able to be that underneath the tent, like a bro back, or is it a positivity thing under these? Or are you guys separate?
No, dude, we feed off each other.
Okay.
Yeah, we feed off each other big time, and it's like, it's nice having somebody like that as your teammate. Obviously, the first person you want to beat's your teammate, but like, it's a little bit different when it comes to Jake. Like, obviously, I'm gonna race him hard. you saw Road America bumping and banging all the way up the front straight, and but we definitely feed off each other. Like, you know, we have so much fun on the weekends now, and even like with how our Fridays go, it don't matter. We go back to Airbnb, cook some food, hang out. Like, it's just a good time. So I think having that dynamic in our relationships actually made this whole racing thing a lot more fun, and I think it's actually like helping us with our feedback and communication with the team and everything. It's like it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool dynamic. Honestly, I think it's not so often you get to kind of be teammates with your best friend. Like, it's kind of like thinking like Jet and Hunter, you know, being able to like do that deal on a factory deal and be with your brother. It's about as close to it probably gets for you. So it's pretty sick. I guess we got to hit him with the last one. Have you ever watched the podcast all the way through? Probably not.
Not all the way through. I watched the Osborne one, like.
Oh yeah, it was good.
It was good. You guys crush it.
Well,
you guys crush it.
Well, this is crazy that like nobody
fucking watches all of our podcasts.
No, they hate it.
They don't know what the last question is.
It's so funny.
Oh,
I actually love this.
So
I
this
love
is a
it.
thing?
I love this last question, dude. Everybody that we be like, so if you listen to the pod, and they're like, yeah, and we're like, so you know the last question? They're like, no. We're like, so you don't.
So you haven't listened to the whole thing.
Actually, before I had one last thing. What's the deal with you hanging out with Twitch and golf and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, actually, I don't know. Dude, I don't even know how that all happened.
Is he just golf and you golf and
So Caleb Tennant, I don't know. So he trains. He trained Hayden Deegan like when he was amateur 250s, and somehow he just got involved with Twitch, and we went and hung out. Went to Twitch's house, a few parties, and then Twitch started becoming a stick at golf, and you know, like he needs a golf partner. He knows I love golf, so he just hits me up every time. We
you guys play some nice places.
Yeah, well, you can imagine Twitch. He don't play. He only plays at nice places.
You didn't even answer me when I asked you about your bag.
What?
About your golf bag.
The golf bag?
Yeah.
Oh,
did you see what I sent you?
No.
Oh, I asked you, are you sponsored by G4?
Oh no, I wish
Oh.
that.
I thought you were
my wife got that for me.
Oh,
and,
I thought you tagged him like
with 45 on it.
Dude, it looks sick. And I was like, dude, this motherfucker's
this guy was about to hit him up for
I
a bag. That's what he was thinking. Like,
So you
KP got it. I'm getting it. Exactly what I mean about this guy.
Thank you, dude. All right, hit him with the question, dude. Hit him with the fucking question.
I had one other thing on top of that though. How is your golf game? I don't
Golf
know anything
games.
about golf, but
I'm at a nine handicap at the moment, so 9.6 index. So I mean, it's hit and miss.
What does
That's
that
pretty
mean?
good. No, it's good.
It's like my
scratch
average,
is dead even. Right?
I'm
scratch is dead
16.8.
even, So like
You're 16.8.
Yeah.
So like, I've broke 85 times in my life, and I normally shoot 80 to 83, 84.
That's
like
crazy.
that's kind of my
Levi Kitchen said he's shot like a 74, 72 or
Yeah.
something.
dang.
Yeah.
My best round's 75. I've done that twice.
Yeah.
I know nothing about golf. It
It's
hurts my
fun.
back, so I
Dude,
can't play it.
So
Oh,
fun.
dude, it
I love
is.
it.
I'm too old for it. I can't.
I hate it though. I hate it. I hate it because it's so hard.
All I know is this guy, our neighbor Kyle Wyman over here.
Oh yeah.
Might as well
He's
be on the
probably
PGA
trying.
tour.
He's
Big
probably
golf.
trying to get you locked in on a game soon, huh?
Yeah. Did
We
you
need
guys
to-
play at Road America on the Monday?
I know. If you play the bowl, good fucking luck.
Why is it tough?
Oh my god. Fucking 9 handicap. Tried 29 handicap.
Dang.
Dude, it's the hardest course I've ever played.
See,
Dude,
I don't want to do that to myself.
Dude, literally, we showed up and JP's like, dude, if you break 100, he goes, here's $100, and I was like,
No way.
I'm like, break 100, dude.
Come on, easy.
I think I shot 106.
Dang.
Dude, I just kept feeding him to the fucking just feeding him, dude. Dude, it is so tight and so long and so sketch. Like it's you have to be so. The problem is you can't lay up anywhere.
See,
You
that's
can't,
brutal,
and you have to hit a driver like everywhere, and you have to. It's like in these lanes, and everything does not fucking do anything with a slice.
Yeah.
Oh my god, everything goes left.
Yeah, I would struggle. I would
buddy.
struggle big time.
But you have to like bend it over a fucking cliff and come back. Like,
Oh no, dude.
it's tough. It's so hard.
All right. So
Do
last
it.
question.
Do it.
Hitting with you.
You got deported.
Deported back to Zimbabwe, locked up
Gone.
for using a fake passport with a 3-year-old child's photo. And you've got your last meal in jail.
Last meal in jail.
So it's your death row meal.
Death row meal. Food, drink, dessert,
Whatever.
What appetizer?
What is it? Is anybody something from South Africa? Or
Do I
like-
have to do the 3-course or just
No,
one? Just
anything.
one meal.
Whatever-
Just the one meal.
whatever it is
Listen,
you
you got fucking 2 hours to eat your last meal, whatever you want.
Dang. I like food a lot, dude. That's tough. I mean, I think honestly, I'm not saying this to get some points, but I think it might have to be my wife's filet mignon. Like, she cooks the best steak I've ever had, with some Brussels sprouts, and I think that would be it.
Are you drinking?
I'm drinking. Probably a Space Dust IPA.
Whoa, nice. I like it.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Any dessert?
Dessert. Probably tiramisu.
Okay.
I
You're
think.
kind of all over the map.
I am,
a little
yeah,
bit, yeah.
a little bit of everything.
Where's your best tiramisu you've ever had? Can't believe you
There's
know
this-
South African food.
No, I know. Actually, I know that's
What
pretty
do they
bad.
even eat over there?
They eat
Healthy,
lots of
right?
steak and
That's what
Yeah,
I
bro.
imagine.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, they're always on
And
the
I will
pop.
say the food in South Africa is like
Really?
extremely good because it's so like there's not a bunch of bullshit in it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like you know,
imagine.
like bread
Yeah, it's
bread goes
nice.
moldy in like 5 days.
Isn't it funny how that works? Like countries with a ton of money like us, and we have the shittiest food, and you go somewhere like that.
I
it's-
know,
Let's
it's
not
kinda
get
yeah,
into it, dude.
yeah.
I know. I'm just saying it's
You've been
crazy how that
watching-
works.
you've
You
been
think it'd be
watching-
the other way around. Like the
You've been
cheaper
watching too much Kennedy, dude.
I think it's just because the other places don't have.
RFK 2024.
I think just because South Africa doesn't have enough money to get all the chemicals and shit.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
just-
yeah, it's
All
probably
right,
true.
so you're
but-
going your wife's fillet,
Yeah,
cooking it medium rare. What are you doing?
medium rare
Okay, attaboy.
with some Brussels sprouts and like a mashed potato maybe,
All right.
and then tiramisu and a Space Dust IPA.
Let's
There you go.
dude. I love it.
You got to come to New York. We're going to Peter Luger's.
Let's go,
I'm down, dude.
dude. It'd be
I'm
sick. Like I've been there. Dude, Cam, this has been awesome. There's so much juicy shit to unpack here. Really appreciate you coming on and being transparent and, really just digging into your life a bit. I think it's such a cool story. I didn't know anything about you, really. I just thought you were a homeboy. And, dude, I'm stoked you're here. I'm stoked you made it. And I'm really pumped you're on Pipe Dreams.
No, I appreciate it, boys. Thanks for having me. Like I said, it's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to chat to you guys for a while, but thanks for having me. It's been rad.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We appreciate it. And sorry, Steve, this one's another long one.
Hey, but look, all the cameras made it. We're gooch.
Hey, Steve, I'll get you a Space Dust.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Thanks.
Sweet, guys.